good evening, all. Welcome to this week's midweek Geek. At the moment, it's just Elfbait with me. Our usual panel aren't are sort of dotted around all over the place tonight. I think we've usually got a Mage's Musings here, but he's otherwise engaged today. Saxius is still snowed under. Others may well come and go during the stream, as is their desire. And if anyone else does want to join in, you're more than welcome to do so, because today is a creative stream. We're going to be making things. We're going to be making monsters. But before we make some monsters, any games recently, Elf?
No. The weekend got canceled, so no game. I had to bow out of Saxius's game, and my Monday game is on hold until we can find a better time frame to play. So
Right.
Currently, no.
Okay. Oh. We do. We have a shadowy hooded figure lurking in the back room.
Hello, guys.
Hello, shadowy hooded figure who was lurking in the back room.
Thought you guys might need reinforcements.
Oh yes. We might need a few reinforcements. Have you been playing any games over the weekend, dude?
No.
Haven't you?
None. I have not been gaming the last 2 weeks, and it feels awful.
And there goes your light. Well, I'm going to lift the side up because we played Call of Cthulhu on Thursday, which was fun. Got the whole group together for the first time in a while, and many shenanigans on the Orient Express. Then on Saturday, we played some OSE in the afternoon. That was Gingerbeard's game. Blag, my bard, is still alive. We had a fatality. We had one of Nosorian's characters die in that session. In the evening, we played some MERP, and the party planned an ambush on a troll. And I was sat there just smiling behind my screen because they only thought there was one troll. It was actually two. And trolls in MERP are really hard, but they did really, really well. And the party took down both trolls. Though, here's General Nut actually in chat. General Nut's character got absolutely battered, which was good for his experience points, because in MERP you get XP when you get battered. But they won. They won in the end. And then on Monday, we played the second one-shot of a puzzle dungeon that my mate is making. And we didn't do very well on the puzzles. No, we didn't do it very well on the puzzles at all. But it's had fun. That's there we go. There we go. So anyway, it was a short intro tonight. It was one hit, General Nut. It took out about 90% of your hit points with a single hit. And you had 44 hit points before the combat. Yes. Right. So who's in chat tonight? We've got a few in chat. We have Shadow and Sun. Elfbait is in chat and in the stream. Grumpel Slan, Mar Hawkburn, Halakar, Crafting Gamer, Omen Owl, General Nut, Calvin Noni. So all the lots of familiar names. But on this stream tonight, I want chat to get involved, and I want my panel to get involved, because we're going to be making monsters. And we're going to go through sort of techniques for making monsters. Firstly, quick question to both of you. Why make a new monster? Why make a new monster?
A couple of reasons for me. First and foremost, it's just super fun. Second, to surprise your players.
Mm-hmm.
Third would be the more practical, and that is you've got a long-standing gaming group who's kind of learned all of the common monsters, and you want to throw something at them that's they're not going to know or they haven't memorized. It's not in a book anywhere, so they can't study it. But those are the main reasons for me.
Yeah.
But primarily, I just dig it. I'm well on record as being primarily a homebrew GM, and even though I have the monster books, I mean, there are still monsters in the original monster manual I've never used.
Oh yeah,
because I'd rather make my own. So.
I think I could tell from the way Doof was nodding furiously while you were talking there that your reasons are pretty much the same.
If not exactly. It is. If I'd make a monster now, it would be mainly to freak out my players. Seeing that in first edition, there's so many monsters in the books that you don't really have to make your own.
That's true. That's true. To say hello to Ranger Lemure and Hungar, who are both, and here's Kabuki Kid as well. But to give you an idea of, yes, I was the sort of player when I was younger. We used to play a little game on the train on the way to school. When school trips were boring, we hadn't got enough players to play a game or something or whatever. Somebody used to pull out a copy of one of the D&D hardback books and start reading out the monster stats in order. And the game was to see how quickly I recognized what monster it was they were reading out. And we rarely got beyond treasure type or number of attacks before
D&D train quiz.
Yeah. I was that nerd who memorized absolutely bloody everything. So yes, it's necessary for people like me to have something new.
And every group has that person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even if unintentionally, I mean, some people just have that memory for grabbing stuff, and after they've encountered it, they're like, "I know goblins." I mean, goblins are a simple answer, but
Yes. Hit dice 1 - 1, movement rate 60, attacks 1, typically with a short sword, doing 1d6. All that sort of stuff.
Just to clarify, I am not that guy. I have a memory like a goldfish, and so hey, goblins, these are new.
You go round the bowl, another lap. Hey, goblins, these are new.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite that bad, but I got other things to commit to memory.
Yeah,
or try.
Right, so basically the reason to make new monsters is to keep you keep players on their toes, and it's to come with something fresh, something different, and often something to fit the dungeon you're making. If there isn't something in the book, you either create a new monster, or you reskin a suitable monster, or you just use a suitable monster's existing stats as a basis, and then just tweak them slightly. There's so many out there. You can do it very, very easily. All you need is a little description and a few little tweaks, and away you go. And I like to do it for the tone of the adventure. I mean, in my OSE game, we've just done a level. They've just finished a level entitled 2 Turtle Doves. So I was trying to think, how can I get 2 turtle doves to fit in with the way the level works? So I had a group of turtle people who kept some sacred doves as sort of icons in their society, and they'd had these doves nicked. Kobolds had nicked one of them, and leprechauns had nicked the other one.
You could have just got really clever and changed it into a delivery quest and change it to 2 as in TO.
I
2
didn't
turtle
think of
doves. We have to deliver the doves to the turtles.
Yeah, we could have done that. Right, and so I think we have to come to just a basic example of how those monsters worked and how I did them. And this is what we're going to be using to make new monsters on. Hopefully, people can see. But there, those on screen now are my stats for my turtle men, and then I've done a little conversion thing for AD&D and MERP if I would ever want to use them in either of those systems. Are they visible for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, you can see them clearly. It's the frames are a little small, but that's going to happen.
Yeah. well, that's the case.
People can always blow up their screen if they need to.
They can do. They can do. But for those who were playing in that game, if anyone was playing in that game, those were the stats for the Turtlemen. The armor class, that or 0 was if you attack them from behind, because of course they've got shells. So if you're a thief trying to backstab a Turtleman, good luck. But I just put in a few tweaks regarding the number of chieftains and sergeants. The fact they can breathe underwater. Not many of them can speak. They use a basic sort of form of sign language. But if they're fighting underwater, they get a +2 to hit with a thrusting weapon like a spear. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice and simple. Nice and simple. But then next to them, the slightly more complicated variant, which is the AD&D variant, which I've just done for tonight. And then you can see how simple monster stats are in MERP after that. Because you just make most of that up as you go along. Shadow and Sun. I know Hungar and Crafting Gamer have donated a few subscriptions, and there were a few lurkers who were sort of shown up as lurking in the background by receiving a subscription. So it might have been Hungar, might have been Crafting Gamer. I know they bought memberships for people, and you were probably lurking. It depends which stream. I think Crafting Gamer did it on Friday and Hungar last Wednesday. So, okay. The main purpose of this stream then is to make a monster. So here we go. There's an empty sheet. You should all now see the empty sheet, which we are going to fill in. And I want it to be something that we can use. One of the DMs can use in my OSE game, or maybe Doof, you run OSE or similar, don't you? You run very old school D&D, first edition. You run first edition. Well, there we go. We've got a first edition stats there as well. What level are your party in first edition?
6.
Level 6. Ah, right. So we might need to beef up whatever we make to challenge your party, or put them in suitable numbers. So what I want is, can I zoom in a bit in Excel? Slan, are your old eyes? I
I had to do this on my stream too, because the window just gets extra small in StreamYard.
Yeah.
So
that's a bit better, isn't it? It should be a bit better. Okay, so I want chat to suggest. Okay, this is going to be a monster I'm going to use in level 6 or 7 of my dungeon, right? Okay. And the title of that level will be 6 Geese a Laying. So chat, suggest a creature that I can use. The party will likely be level 3 or 4 by then, but something we can tweak up so that Doof can throw at his people. But to fit in 6 Geese a Laying. Suicide geese. Geese who eat metal and lay metal eggs. Okay.
Alchemical geese, huh?
A Hydra goose hybrid. Now, yeah, okay. So it'd be 6 geese a laying. So what about a 6-headed Hydra goose hybrid?
There you go.
Does that sound good to you, Dave?
Hell yeah.
Right. In fact, we can make all of these. I'm going to start with the Hydra Goose hybrid. Right. Okay.
I'll put it into one goose for that matter. I mean, you have a 6-headed Hydra Goose. That special attack is that, when it hits, it eats metal, and
You're evil. I like it.
But you can reward the party because maybe it converts that metal into gold and lays golden eggs.
So we are going to make 3 monsters on this stream. We're going to make a Hydra Goose hybrid with 6 heads. We're going to make a Suicide Goose, and we're going to make a goose that can eat metal and lay metal eggs. Right. So, going with, well, which system shall we start with? Basic OSE, and then expand it out for AD&D.
Sounds like the way to go. Get the basics out of the way.
Okay, right. Armor class for a goose hydra thing. I don't think they're going to have a particularly great armor class. I mean, they're just going to be a bit fat and fluffy, aren't they?
I'm going to look up the OSE stats for a goose.
Yeah, well, I might as well. Or look up OSE stats for hydras. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking rust monsters follow the metal egg-laying geese around. I think that's fantastic. I think they live in some form of symbiosis with rust monsters. I'm loving this. Anyone who's playing in that game, you're looking forward to this level.
Let's see.
Right, I'm relying on Elfbait to look things up. So look at
That's fine. I am still trying to. Everything wants to throw more modern stats at me. So just a second. But no, continue while I'm looking. I'll jump in.
Yeah, leathery feathers like a dense version of scam. I think AC5 is AC5 sounds. Hello, Daniel. Sounds about right. Omenel's suggestion there. So
I mean, the Hydra has AC5 in first
there
edition.
we go. There we go. That's perfect then. Hit dice. I think it's got to have 6, hasn't it?
Oh, looking at we can extrapolate from 5e familiar stats for a goose. They give it an armor class at 12, which I believe is flipping that around is going to be an armor class of 8.
8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think 5 for a goose hydra is fine. Hello, DM James. Yeah, I think that we could have a souped up one. I think 6 is about right, and number of attacks. Well, 6. Now I don't see them doing a lot of damage per attack. Each peck about 1d4.
Sounds fair. Especially in old school.
Yeah, in OSC that is still brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some of the. I mean, we're talking about a larger monster. Clearly, this is like a so 1d4 would be good. I know that in some cases, some of the old monsters would do like 1 hit point per strike or 1d2. 1d4 minus 2 or something like that. But
yeah, we're going to keep it simple. Okay, what's the Thaco from a 6 hit dice creature in OSC? Anybody got their OSC books handy?
I didn't know there was going to be a quiz.
Well,
let me go ahead and pull that up right now. I happen to have just been looking at this the other day. Continue while I
continue.
Pull up the
Okay. I don't see them as moving very quickly, but they will have a swimming speed on top of water. So I reckon that something like
does it fly also?
Yeah, but you're looking at something like that. On land 60, flying 120, swimming 120. Well, no, I think 60 and 120 to fly. So, but it can swim on top of water. So, okay. So 120 fly. That seems fair. Saving throws. It will save as the rule is, unless they're particularly intelligent, they save as half their hit dice in fighter levels. I seem to remember.
Is it really half?
Actually, no. Make it fighter 6. Morale is good, right? Have any of you ever?
It's a goose. They never back down.
Oh no!
Exactly.
I used to play a little bit of golf, and I hit a ball down the left-hand side of the fairway of the 16th at the club I used to play at, and there's a lake there, and I went poking around on the edge of the lake for my ball. All these long grass there, and this almighty hiss came from the long grass. I thought that it was somebody's escaped pet boa constrictor. It was that loud. And it was a goose on its nest. And it had its wings spread, and it was like, I was like, oh, that ball is staying lost. I'm not going anywhere near that. That ball is lost.
Yeah, we used to raise geese, and they still didn't like me. Like, you're my own animal. Why are you yelling at me?
Yes. I think, people are saying they're nearly fearless. I'd say morale 11 seems about right. Definitely neutral, because they're a bit stupid. I haven't got my XP calculation. Now, number appearing, I think 1. I don't think you'll get any more than 1. Right. So, special abilities. Somebody worked out the Thaco 14. Omanal's got that there. That seems right.
Good,
okay.
Because I'm having trouble finding my PDF. So
okay, I haven't got the XP value to hand, but we've got the idea. We've got the idea. So this it's already looking quite scary. But
there's the flying Hydra. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Yes. It's going to be pretty horrific. It is going to be pretty horrific. Now, it's a Hydra type thing though, so for every 4 points of damage, 1 head is lopped off. Does that seem fair?
Sounds standard.
Okay,
sounds about right.
Okay, loses 1 head per 4 hit points of damage inflicted by a sharp weapon. I think that's
OSE says for every 8 hit points taken. For disabling the heads.
Okay, that's fine.
But it also gives it 1d8 plus 4 heads. So
right, I think okay. Yeah. And I think pretty much as per a Hydra. Otherwise, I mean,
yeah, we could go with 4 for the goose because I mean, if you wanted to, because I mean the standard Hydra has 1d8 plus 4 heads, and it's 1 hit die per head. So,
right. Okay, should we go in the middle? Actually, should we say 6?
Yeah, there we go. I mean, it doesn't have to be just like a Hydra. Otherwise, we're just reskinning a Hydra.
Remember, they're going to be the party are likely to be about level 3 or 4 when they encounter it. So it's not going to be quite Hydra level. It's going to be like a slightly weaker Hydra, but still pretty frightening.
Throwing a 12 hit dice Hydra at a party would be nasty at that level.
What's the treasure type of Hydras? We'll just pick the same one.
B.
Actually,
golden eggs. There you go.
There we go. It's got to be golden eggs. It's got to be a source of golden eggs.
There you go.
Oh yes, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Yes.
The combined honk of 6 heads.
Oh no.
Honk.
Yeah. I like this. I can just open this one up. Honking. Okay. Yeah. But honking causes deafness is a suggestion. I think the idea of honking causing fear.
Love it.
I like it.
Yeah.
It changes it from having like some sort of breath weapony thing to just a fear effect.
Fear in creatures of 2 hit dice or lower. Save versus. I would say save versus spells.
Yeah.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Sure.
Okie dokie. Right. So that's this is you're going to be in level 6 of the dungeon, Nutty. So it's going to be on 6 geese are laying. Hello, squirrel. So it's fire can cause extra damage. I'm thinking of keeping it simple, though. It's going to be mainly a BX OSE monster. I think that's enough for now.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
so-
it has a special attack. It has a fun way to reduce the damage. So it's got some gameable aspects to it. Sounds like
Yes.
a good start.
Yeah, yeah. And it's got 6 attacks, so it's enough to put the shits up most people. But it's beatable. It's beatable. It doesn't move particularly quickly. It's not going to run away. Need to work out the X. Oh, never surprised. I think that's fair, actually. I think it. Yeah, cannot be surprised. I think that's fair.
No, isn't that a bit much?
I was gonna say,
I
even
don't know
though
how it
even a
works in
normal Hydra
LEC,
doesn't
but-
have even a normal Hydra doesn't have that ability.
Okay. Okay.
Give it a bonus or something.
Only surprised 1 in 6 because normally it's 2 in 6.
That's
I mean,
fair.
that's fair.
Geese make great watchdogs, and it's hard
They
to
do,
sneak
yeah,
past
yeah.
them. So
And I might, when detailing it, I might say unless magical silence and some form of darkness is employed. Right. So AD&D stats. Over to Doof for this one because you're running
Yeah.
AD&D 1 here at the moment. So first is frequency. Now these aren't going to be common, are they?
No. Give it at least a rare status.
Rare. Okay.
yeah,
Number appearing.
I mean, if these are too common, people will just set up golden egg farms.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Numbers appearing, I'm thinking 1 to 3 or 1 to 4.
Okay.
Since you roll for the amount of heads for a Hydra, but I'm not
Yeah.
imagining these guys having
Yeah,
too many heads.
These are fixed, so
Or shall we have 1d4? So 1 not in the lair, but 1d4 in a lair.
that makes sense because they are flock creatures, or geese are flock creatures. But
I mean, yeah, of course.
Okay.
I mean, they don't have to exactly be like geese. So I mean, whatever. I mean, it works either way. So
They come in groups of 6 already. So. Armor class stay with the same?
Yeah.
You happy with AC 5? Yep.
That's good.
Movement rate.
I don't know
be-
how they convert the movement rates.
It's pretty much identical, isn't it? It's pretty much you do sort of that, don't you?
yeah,
Is it that simple? With it
I-
being a combat round being a minute.
Yeah, because it works out as feet per inch indoors and yards per inch outdoors.
all right.
Yeah.
Real quick way to figure it out. How far does a goblin move in AD&D? Just a real quick, easy one for you,
I
Doof.
think they move at 6.
Okay, because I can pull up the OSE stats for goblin here real quick. I have the monster list here. Okay, goblin. Where are you?
Goblins a 6.
6. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
That's
so that's what I was trying to compare it. So 6 in AD&D, and then looks like the move in. Yeah, it's the
fine.
same.
OSC is 60.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd say go with the same. Okay, then give it a percentage in lair. I'd think this would be quite high
60.
on the nest.
Yeah, it's got those golden eggs to guard.
Yep. Yeah, I reckon.
80 to 90, I'm thinking.
Nine. I was going to say 80, but 90's fine. Yep.
That way,
Now-
it's all it's always going to fit the rhyme to the geese a laying. So,
Yeah. Treasure type. I'm going to golden eggs again. Working out value for these golden eggs. Egg.
a solid gold egg. Is it? Well, not solid because I mean, these are what they hatch their young out of, right?
So yeah,
So if it's a solid gold egg, then obviously a super high value. But actually, just a gold egg shell probably wouldn't be that much.
I mean, that's kind of low for AD&D treasure.
You think you reckon it'd go a bit higher than that?
I would go 1d6 times 1,000 at least.
Oh,
Otherwise,
right, okay.
it's kind of not worth it.
You could always make it to where the value is different, whether it's whole or in the shards. Sort
You
of
could
like,
do, yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So like, because I would imagine there's enough gold in the gold shell to equal probably, like a goblet, a fancy gold goblet. So
How about 1d6 times 1,000 GP intact? 1d6 times 100 GP if broken.
yeah, that works.
That work for you, Dave?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Basically, the
Also-
second one is just how much just raw gold is there.
Same attacks and damage?
Give it a d6.
A d6, right, okay. Special attack, honk.
Special defense,
Surprised,
surprised, yeah.
Magic resistance, standard. Intelligence, animal?
We can give it low to make it a
Semi.
little bit more challenging.
Semi.
Yeah, I mean a little bit higher. I mean it is something clearly magical, so we can give it more than just animal intelligence.
It's a bird.
Yeah.
Animal.
And animal, but animal to semi. There we go. So yeah, in that range, it's going to be likely about 2.
Yeah,
alignment.
I mean, the description for it would probably talk about in rare instances there are more intelligent ones above.
Now, size. Are we going to say they're medium or large?
Large. They're definitely large.
Large.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the most important question: are they edible?
Absolutely. And what should we say? About 15-foot wingspan.
Yeah, I mean, considering a normal goose has like
About
what
6
a 5 to 6 foot wingspan.
Yeah. Psionic, nil.
Psy goose.
Now, AD&D FACO works slightly differently.
Got it right here. This is 13.
There we go. And level and XP value, and I mean you can calculate that if you want.
I could.
You could, yes.
That is what you do after.
More
the
importantly,
brainstorming work.
height and weight. They aren't usually listed, but they are important if you're using unarmed combat.
Right. I would say they probably stand about as tall as a human and weigh. Probably
I mean, they
about the same.
would need to be taller to be considered large, right?
But they've got the massive
7
wingspan.
feet. That is true.
Yeah,
That
and
massive
the
wingspan.
length of the neck could outstretch humans. They just kind of have that weird body configuration where they get a bulky body, 6 heads sticking off of it. So.
AB, I just need to remind you, AB, that we're playing Call of Cthulhu tomorrow, and there is the opportunity for me to torment your character quite hideously. So I think you need to be careful here, mate. I will not be doing Monster Mark. Not be doing Monster Mark for this. No. I take it you all know what Monster Mark is.
The thing you hate most in life?
Oh. It's the bane of my life.
The overly mathematical quantifying number for a monster.
Halakar suggested a bigger wingspan. Okay, I'm going to put 15-foot plus wingspan, so they can be bigger.
Oh, do you guys know how the flying combat works in AD&D?
Oh,
what's
it
their
should have a
ability
flying class.
Well,
Yeah.
does it fly or is it just too big to fly?
Oh, it has to fly.
It has to fly, yes. Yeah. Yes. I have been missing a lot of chat there because I was looking at my other screens. So Just flag it. If you see anything you like in chat, just flag it up and tell me. I'm busy messing. So, what do you reckon in terms of maneuverability class?
A wyvern is E, right?
It's going to be more than Wyvern's big though, isn't it? It's bigger than one of these.
Yeah, but I'm thinking because of its build, I don't know how
D,
well it's gonna
say?
fly. That sounds good.
D, yeah.
So it's slightly worse than a flying broom.
There we go. Just put a D there. Okay. I will not be using these in MERP, so I'm not gonna do a MERP version. But
no dark lords waterfowl.
Oh, go on then. Right. The way this would translate to MERP is you give them an armor type, and this would be soft leather. How many hits? First level warrior has about 50 hit points and gains about 7 or 8 per level from there. But hit points are whittled down fairly quickly. A decent troll has about 140 hit points. So I'm going to say somewhere in the region of 125. It's going to have 6 times bite. Each attack is not going to have a massive bonus. It's just going to have so many of them. No missile, speed medium, and you're talking about an 8th level creature here. There we go. That's fair. That's fair for MERP. That's all you need to do. Plus, you could bring in a fear effect as well. Quite easy. Quite easy. Alignment mean, indeed. Indeed.
I'll be right back, guys. I need to step away real quick.
Okay. So, so we have that's our Hydra Goose. The next one was the suicide goose, wasn't it? I think.
Uh-huh.
Right. I'm just going to put Hydra Goose Hydra at the top here, so we remember that. That's this next one. I'm going to make it a bit bigger so people can see. And this is Suicide Goose. So with these geese just run at the party and explode, basically. Does that sound about right?
Are these a reference to something?
This has come from the mind of General Nutt, who came up with such things as in Shadow of the Demon Lord, using an amputated ogre's private bits as a sleeping bag. Right?
That's quite creative.
Yes, and the idea that goblins wear chickens on their heads in order to be stealthy. That comes from the mind of General Nutt. So I think General Nutt should start. How do you want the Suicide Goose to look? Halakar reckons just Suicide Goose has sharp, pointy beak, will dive from the sky and impale party members like those old metal lawn darts we had as kids. Just run at the party, explode in a puff of feathers. Kamikaze. Right. Okay. Okay, so these don't need a very good armor class or many hit points because quite simply you
kind of want to be hit.
Yeah, you want them to. Yeah, the chicken thing actually, yeah, it did work by magic of the dice. Indeed, you are right there. So armor class, we're going to go with something pretty high. I think that's in OSC about right. Hit dice 1. It's a basic goose size thing. Number of attacks 1. Damage
loads. I mean, how do you encounter a lot of them? And they kind of set off a chain explosion? Or what's their strategy now?
They would just run and explode. And
What you could do is you could make their HP a D4 and
yeah,
have it so that you encounter a lot of them. And when one explodes,
it does as many damage as it's got hit points.
oh,
Maybe like a breath weapon.
that's nasty.
That'd be fair. I mean, that way, if you can kill them super quick, you might actually
Yeah.
be able to reduce their. I mean, if they're dead, they're going to have 0 hit points anyway. So you'd have to.
And, but they detonate any other suicide goose that's within 10 foot of them. It's other, so you can actually cause a chain detonation at 1d4 hit points per goose blowing up. And if you've got a flock of 20 geese around you, bye. I think that sounds pretty good.
Is
This
10
just sounds
feet-
like the worst.
10
thing to
feet
be
sounds a
surprised by.
little too far. Like that's gonna have
Okay, 5
maybe,
5 feet
yeah.
then.
Yeah.
What do you say there, Doof? It sounds like the worst. What?
It sounds like the worst thing to be surprised by. So you can
Yeah.
kind of deal with them kind of easily by just making them blow up at a distance.
Maybe
But if
they
you're
don't.
surprised, they're going to be 10 feet from you. Of
Maybe they're loud though. Maybe they've got that loud screech, that hissing honk, so they tend to give away their presence.
course.
Maybe they don't explode when you kill them, but rather they're like some of those I mean, I'm gonna invoke video game monsters here real quick, but the ones that sort of see you, make a ragey noise, and then sort of charge at you and sort of build up and explode when they get within range. So there's like boom, kind of a thing.
Do they explode when set on fire?
Oh yes.
So the player's got to be able to use this in some way.
Well,
Keep
yeah,
them
an
alive
animal.
and like throw them by their necks out in combat.
What about an animal friendship spell?
There you go.
People thought oil was too powerful.
Well, it's like the bombardier beetle, and they're wonderful little. Or is
Animal
it the
friendship.
fire beetles? It's the fire beetles, yeah. They have their useful thing.
They are a bit like gas spores. Yes, and draconians from Dragonlance. Right. So hit dice, 1d4 hit points. Okay. Damage. 1d4 hit points.
All right.
But it's a radius. Thaco. I'm going to say this is not applicable.
You could always make it be a save.
Because they detonate. They will self-detonate. So Thaco, not applicable. Movement. 60. I say 60, 120 again. Save. Normal man. Morale. Geese. Alignment. These have got to be chaotic.
Andrew Houston asks, can they peck for like another attack, that they can do before they die? We can have them maybe peck for like 1 point of damage. So even against OSE characters, that's still going to be damage that's worth doing. And could add up over a herd of them.
Then they would have a Thaco of 20, I believe, for 1d4.
Yeah. I mean, make them suck, and because they're just birds, right?
Yes,
but until they blow up.
Okay, explode, causing damage equal to hit points. Explode when hit in combat or by fire. And detonate all other suicide geese within 5 foot. I'm going to put a save versus breath weapon here. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Half damage if save versus breath. I think that's fair. Number appearing. How many in a flock of these?
I would say 3d6.
You go for three. Oh, okay. 3d6. There we go. That's evil. That's brutal.
I mean, you can just run into a small 3 of them, but you might run into 18 of them. Come on, it's a goose herd. It's a goose flock. I mean, if you wanted to be nice, okay, 3d4, or even let's do 2d4. You might have a mated pair or a small gaggle.
Yeah, 2d4. 2d4 is fine. I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely fine. Yes. Suicide Goose. What does chat say about Suicide Goose?
That's a good point. A DM's tip there: the racket they make would attract other monsters as they honk and then explode.
Yes.
Sounds like the creation of a mad wizard to me. As these guard animals, it's like a mobile minefield and alarm at the same time.
Noise causes wandering monster check.
There you go.
That's good. That's good. Yes. Okay.
Good point, Halicar. I like that one. Newborn chicks cannot explode, so they're often collected for sale, and then they become guard beasts. There's a market for them.
Imagine strapping one to a trebuchet and launching it into enemy castles. Just get a big bag of them and just launch them, and it just sets off this chain reaction.
Lords place them in their courtyards as early warning systems. What happened to the last cupbearer? He got angry and kicked the wrong goose.
I think General Nut's got a point here. I mean, I don't tend to play with squares, so I don't tend to think along those sort of squares lines. Have you ever seen one of my games? It's just like if I'm using a map, it's just a melee of Does Suicide Goose poop explode? No.
Yes, and that's how we got gunpowder and firearms in the campaign setting, because if you let it dry and then grind it up, you can put it into a firearm.
I'm going to actually say no. I think it's highly prized by magic users
for fire-based spells.
For fire-based spells, yes.
Potions a possible replacement.
A possible replacement for bat guano in the casting of fireball.
There you go. Or an ingredient in a potion of exploding.
Yes.
Also known as D&D's hand grenade.
And thus flak is invented. But yes, I think General Nut's got a point here that within 10 foot, it actually is fair if you're using squares.
Oh, Halicar's comment. I just imagine them being kept in pens and the dragon's attacking the walls. Release the geese into the air as they flak the dragon.
And then, oh damn, it's a red dragon. It's immune to the fire-based explosion. Oh well.
But is it immune to the concussive force?
That is true. But we don't specify.
It just says explosion. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that it does.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So let's have a look over to Doof for how you do your Suicide Goose for AD&D.
Give it the same numbers appearing in dungeons. That's per level of the dungeon. And then I don't know how big geese flocks get.
I mean,
quite big.
formerly living in a place that's invaded by them every year with the Canadian geese populations, there's entire parks that are carpeted in them.
Yeah. Maybe something like that.
Oh God.
That's maybe a little too many. Well, I mean, lair or migrational, like, wintering grounds. I mean, if you found them in a wintering ground, there might be 120 geese there.
Should we say 20 to 80 in a
Sure.
flock?
That sounds thousands more awkward.
Frequency, I think these are going to be rare as well, because they're volatile.
I mean, I would go as far as say they are very rare.
Yeah, yeah.
Legendary creatures.
You reckon what about the same AC and movement and all of that?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hit dice half. Oh, 1st of February. Okay. We'll do 1d4 hit points instead. Percentage in lair. I don't think that's going to be too high, personally, but it's up to you. What do you reckon?
Give it a 10%.
10%. Okay. Treasure type. Eggs.
What's the treasure type? Well, also, what's the treasure type for incidental treasure for the people who've blown up and died wandering into their lairs?
You'd put that in the description. Incidental treasure. Yeah.
Well, isn't there a treasure type that kind of? I thought there was a treasure type that kind of covers that. It's like one of the low grade treasure types or something like that.
Probably is.
Oh.
Yeah, I think O is supposed to be the stuff that accumulates in animal larders and stuff like that.
Okay.
But whatever. Yeah, it's like I said. I was just trying to think if there was a treasure type we could list there, but I can't remember exactly what it is.
That's fair. What, still 1 or 1d4 for those?
Yeah, you could pretty much put the same damage, and it would work since there's more of them.
Explodes. No special defenses. Magic resistance standard. Intelligence animal. Alignment. The kamikaze. It's going to be. I think this is the best way to describe it. Neutral brackets chaotic, because they're kamikaze. Size, they're goose-sized.
Small.
All right. So it looks like the treasure type for giant spiders that was mentioned by Halakar is treasure type U.
U, okay.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that you find in a lair. In the case of spiders, it's from the victims that they've webbed up and carried back there. But if we have a living minefield of geese where predators are going to run in, or adventurers might wander through, or humanoids might chase after them, makes sense.
Okay. But U plus eggs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, stupid.
And Thaco is 20 star, which means Thac 1 of 20. For those who might be thinking, no, it's first edition, no Thaco. Yes, Thaco was in first edition. So there.
Yep. It just wasn't in common usage yet.
It's in the back of the DMG.
And it was in all the modules from 1983 onwards, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you expect to see it in monster stats, because it's in module monster stats. Okay, exploding geese in Merp. It's a bit silly, but they're going to be level 1. The armor is going to be soft leather again. Actually, yes, it counts as soft leather. They're going to have 10 hit points each. The melee is going to be a peck at offensive bonus of 15, and speed is going to be medium. There we go. And the explosion would be something completely different. I'd have to work out how that would work. It would be the same as some sort of concussive critical. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Never used concussive criticals. So, incidental treasure of exploding geese is mostly damaged armor. That's fine. That's fine. Right. So there we have the Suicide Goose. I like that one. In fact I like them all. I like them all so far. They're all pretty good. Right. What was the other one? The other one was like a rust monstery version of the goose.
It was the goose that ate metal and pooped out metal eggs.
Okay. So what are we gonna call that?
The Pharaoh Goose. As in FERRO. They collected the poop of the suicide geese, and there's that's where Saruman got his dark magic.
Yes. Right. So we need
Bring
a
me
name.
a goose worthy of Mordor.
We need a name for our metal eating geese. Anyone got any thoughts? Umber geese.
Umber geese. How about the Gorgon goose? Just because it's a metal animal.
You didn't think you were thinking about turning to stone.
I know, but just because it's a metal animal, that's the only reason.
Yeah. We've got here Rustius Peccius Gooseus, which is the Latin name for rust goose. There we go. Rust goose. Let's make it big. Make it big. There we go. Oh, not that big. That big. So this is the rust goose. Right. Okay. Now this is going to be obviously a slightly modified version of a rust monster.
I thought it lived in symbiote with the rust monster. So if it's in a layer, there is one rust monster in there.
Maybe the rust monsters are sort of like kind of like those frogs that hang out in tarantula layers, and kind of.
Okay. So living in a symbiotic state with rust monsters because they lay metal eggs.
Or it might be more of a parasitic relationship, because if the eggs they're young still, then the rust monsters are sort of like more like a rat, getting into an ostrich nest or something like that, where they're a threat, but still possibly present. So,
or maybe
10% chance or 25% chance of a rust monster being in lair,
or a rust monster being in the area because they're attracted by the fact that they lay the metal eggs.
Yeah.
Okay. So rust goose. So how big do you think these creatures are going to be? We need to think about them on the whole. Armor class. I'd imagine these are going to be quite tough. Like almost like metallic feathers. Maybe.
AC3?
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm going to suggest 3 hit dice as well. I think 2 or 3. Anyone with any other suggestions? I think the 2 or 3 is about right.
Depends on what you want to use them for. If they're not going to be terrifically aggressive, put them at 3.
Okay. 3 hit dice. Okay. Again, 1 attack, but these are going to have razor sharp beaks. So beaks. I'm thinking something like 2d4 damage. Hit that a little bit harder. That gives him a THAC of 17. Movement rate, same as these won't be able to fly because they're too heavy. I'm going to put a little note here. I think that's fair.
Yeah, scared of rust monsters makes sense.
And the number appearing is either a lone one or a mated pair.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going with the geese themselves also being, ferrous and metallic, then they probably do worry about the rust monster themselves.
Yep. Okay. Treasure type. Right. What sort of properties are their eggs going to have? Other than attracting rust monsters.
So Mar Hawkwood here add something. I think it'd be interesting if, and I kind of agree with him, instead of duplicating the rust monster's effect, rather than eating, like turning the items to rust, maybe they actually are capable of breaking the metal and give them a really powerful bite attack. But also maybe if they hit your armor or your weapon needs to make a save.
Yes.
In AD&D terms, obviously, because I don't know if item saves are a thing in BX, but
that's a good idea. Okay, right. So those razor sharp beaks can sever weapons and armor.
Yeah, give them a really good, maybe a better Thaco or a special attack that's +1 or +2 to hit versus metal armor.
Okay. Yeah. So,
although and the only reason I say versus metal armor specifically is if we're making them metal eaters, then clearly it's not just their beak is stronger; they have some sort of anti-metal thing going on that's not turning it to rust.
And what you say their chance of damaging the armor is?
I'm going to defer to Doof here. It's been a while since
I
I've
have
played
the item saving throws right in front of me.
Cool.
Let
yeah,
me see. I don't know how a rust monster works though.
This would be a fun way to do an item saving throw. A fun opportunity to use item saving throw instead of something else.
Like BX and OSE don't have item saving throws, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
6 and 20? That's a crushing blow. If you want anything better than that.
So shall we say a 2 in 6 chance of damaging on a hit?
Here's the BX rust monster rules, or not the BX, but the OSE. Metal that touches a rust monster, and obviously we're not going with exactly this. It says crumbles instantly to rust magic items. Yeah, theirs is just an all or nothing in OSE. Yeah. There's no save. But we're not going with rust. We're just making them really nasty metal geese that are, metal shearing.
Hang on, if they hit your weapon, they're not going to damage you. Let's try and work this out now.
Well, it's kind of tricky because with armor class being such a nebulous thing, it can simulate a parry, or it didn't go through your armor, or you just flat out didn't get hit. I think a straight percentage chance, when they're attacked or when they attack, like when they, that I don't know if that's getting too fiddly. We could just skip that part. It was an idea. This is the editorial process where you decide if the special ability is just too fiddly and worth it.
Shall we say, if somebody attacks them with a metal weapon and misses by 10 or more, it means the goose has caught the weapon in its beak and breaks it.
That sounds fair.
Okay. Attacked and attacker misses by 10 or more, goose has caught weapon in beak and weapon breaks. There we go.
Yeah. And of course, with AD&D rules, when we finally get to that, we can take it. We can make use of the item save rule.
Yes, the item saving codes. Yes, yes, yes.
Although, how hard is it? I mean, if here's an interesting. When you play OSE, would you ever think about like just porting the item save chart from AD&D and use it in OSE?
It's possible. Yeah, you could do that.
I mean, it's such a straightforward chunk that just kind of, it's so self-contained. You can just kind of move it over. That's the nice thing about a lot of the old school stuff, period, whether it's OSE or AD&D or whatever, is that a lot of those systems just cut and paste.
That's our next goose.
The mosh goose.
Attracted by the sound of heavy metal clashing. No,
it's a group of these metal geese is known as a pit instead of a flock or a herd. Pit, yes. It's a pit of metal geese.
And I'm going to put these as treasure type nil because I don't think they would have treasure.
Of broken weapons.
It makes a lot of sense for these metal geese to be attracted by the sound of metal clashing.
Oh,
yes. Yes.
I mean, that could just be in their description. Like, they're attracted to the sounds of battle because they know there's often going to be discarded weapons and armor.
Yeah. And that you can just role play that. You can just add that.
That's one of like I said, that's one of the things that gets in the monster description.
Okay. Right, so there we go. There is our. And I don't think a rust goose will really work for this description. So, I we'll just call it metal goose for now. Right, AD&D stats frequency.
I think these have got to again.
Very rare, yeah. Number pairing.
A deep 3 in dungeons.
1d3.
And outside, I don't know if they can be encountered outside.
I wouldn't imagine they'd be found outside. AC 3, movement 6.
When we first started talking about metal geese, the first thing that came to mind is those real world snails that use iron in their shells. They're volcanic snails, and they absorb iron into their system, and actually their shell is made out of iron.
So they've got a good armor class.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Maybe these geese are on the volcanic level of level 6. I don't know. They layer around natural thermal vents and stuff.
Well, maybe you could add things like magma blood to them if you want to make them really nasty.
They're geese from the elemental plane of fire.
Yeah. I think the chance of finding these being in layers quite high.
Yeah.
Not applicable. Layer percentage is only in the wilderness, right?
No.
I I'm pretty sure since you roll on Appendix A for dungeons.
Okay. I'd say okay, 0. They're not in there. Wouldn't they have they might make their nest in a dungeon though.
Yeah, but that is just you rolling up a monster with treasure.
Okay. Treasure type 0. Number of attacks 1. Damage 2d4.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you could throw into their description. Like they tend to make their lairs in dungeons where humanoid races dwell, because they're after the armor and the weapons and stuff. Or mines. Yeah. Our mine's infested with metal geese. We need your help. They're eating all the iron.
That's amazing. I'm so using that.
Size. These are gonna be quite small, aren't they? I think.
There are 3 hit dice though.
That's because
Are
they're
these
tough.
just normal geese but metal?
Yeah, but they're tough. Medium. Okay.
So they're large. They're human-sized geese. They're big.
Well, you can be medium is about, you can be about 4.5, 5 foot, can't
Yeah.
you? So
I mean, I would say overall body size, I would still, like a standard goose would still be small, but yeah, for these monster geese, medium's good.
Now, how much do these weigh?
Right.
A metal goose.
Yeah. You're probably talking a few £100, aren't you? And the rest.
Easily.
Yeah.
That is kind of why I might want to make them large too, just to have them be like grappling monsters. Like they won't grapple you, but you cannot grapple them.
So should we say weight about 5,000 coins? That's £500. 3 humans, pretty much.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Okay. You can obviously work out the XP values at a later date. Like the Orumvarax, very dense. Yes. Okay. Right. Do we have any more ideas for monsters? Away from geese now. Away from geese. Anybody got any more ideas?
Believe it or not, there's a lot online for metal goose statues. So,
I can put you in charge of finding artwork for these.
well, that's just, I actually originally was looking at it for weight. Like I actually just typed in how much would a metal goose weigh, and all this metal yard art and stuff started coming up.
So, some ideas for another monster. Kabuki, we do get a bit of peanut butter here. It's not all overly madly popular. My kids like it. A rust pigeon. It causes rust effects by sitting on you, or should we add an H to sitting?
Rust pigeons would be that horrible thing where they roost in the eaves at castles, and their poop causes rust, so they're always pooping on your armor and putting dings in it and stuff.
Every Wednesday when I work over at our other shop, our parking area is under a load of trees, and I always have to clean my windscreen after before we start, because there's always bird shit on the windscreen and on my roof. And when I get my new car this weekend, I'm not going to park there. I'm not going to park there. Yeah, I've got a new car coming this weekend.
Cool.
Hyundai i40 Estate. Nice, big, comfortable thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's very, very, very. It's a good-looking car as well.
I'm curious to hear about like, I don't know if anybody in chat throw out monsters that they've created, just not the stats, but like, share some of your own monster creations. What have you
Yeah.
made?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you've got anything you want to add, ideas for creating monsters, any monsters you've created, tell us about them. In fact, tell us about monsters you've made. I mean, what was the last monster you made, Doof?
I don't really make monsters.
You don't really make monsters. You just use ones in the books. Usually.
Yeah, I have not had the need of my own monsters yet.
Is that because the people who are playing aren't really AD&D players for, in terms of
that also? But before I started playing first edition, I used to make monsters all the time. I just feel like there's so many monsters in first edition that you never need to make your own.
That
Nonsense. You always need to make your own.
I like to tweak. I like the idea of undead turkeys from hell. The version of Excel that I'm using, I believe is it 2010? I haven't updated my Excel for years. I think it might be Office 2010.
Let's see.
I got it for free because I used to work for a school and I got it on an educational license. Right. Should I admit those things live on stream? Yeah. Because I
looking over my monster creations, just the ones I have on D&D Beyond, which are my most recent ones. Looks like most recently, trying to find a finished one, not crazy ideas. So this year I have created a marsh dragon, which is not an actual dragon, but a drake. That's based on an old Grenadier miniature, actually. And that's a rewrite from an AD&D write-up I made for it ages ago. So that was the most recent one I did that I completed. Yeah,
the only ones I've made recently have been the turtle people. I think I like that undead turkeys from hell. Right. Okay. So this is going to be turkeys. Okay. Should they be like skeletons, zombies, ghouls, or whites? Hello, Bear. So if we can make undead turkeys, what do you think would really put the Frighteners up a level sort of 3-ish party?
I think a ghost turkey from all the turkeys that were killed on Thanksgiving.
Okay, there we go.
Turkey Wraith or Turkey Revenant to get revenge. It appears as a turkey carcass shambling through the darkness at you, trying to get revenge.
No, that's good.
That is good. Yes. Okay. Turkey Revenant. Okay. Right. Our Turkey Revenant. So no heads or feet. Hello, GM Cody.
They're spectral heads and feet, so like all you see is like the rib cage and the neck and stuff kind of floating through the air. Or it could be that they reassemble themselves off the scraps.
Yes. So when they appear, it's all the bones of the carcass as well as bits of crispy skin
and little bits of the meat that you couldn't get off the bone, and gristle
the gristle, and that congealed fat you have at the bottom of the pan.
Little traces of herb seasoned bread stuck to them.
Yes.
Maybe a stray carrot. Whatever.
Andrew Hughes has got a good one here. Undead gibbering turkey mouther, a conglomerate of all the dead turkeys.
There you go. That sounds like a nice specter, like a spectral, like it's this ghost that's just massive conglomeration of all of the cackling spirits of the turkeys.
Right, so and we're focusing on the turkey revenant for now. So the turkey revenant it wants to seek revenge on people who would eat turkey at Christmas, which is it'll be almost all party members.
Well, especially in your holiday kingdom. So
will not attack vegetarians.
There you
go. Okay. Will attack adventurers relentlessly because, of course, adventurers
the ubiquitous turkey leg.
Meat. Okay, so this is getting silly now, but yeah, there we go.
It was silly from the start. It's a turkey revenant.
Yeah, it's a turkey revenant. Yeah. Okay, right. Okay.
I think that when this might seem repetitious, but that it should explode in a fiery conflagration when it's killed to kind of roast its enemy.
Yeah, but that'd be like a burning oil type effect.
Yeah,
hot fat. Okay, yeah. when it dies, explodes in 10-foot radius cloud of
burning oil. Yeah, hot fat. Yeah. What if it smells delicious and lures people in with the scent of a fresh cooked turkey meal?
Absolutely. So 1d8 damage. Save versus breath for half. I think that one. Okay.
Yeah. Use the rules for like the siren song, but for people who can smell.
Or like a harpy. Yeah, harpy song. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Lures people with roasting smell as per harpy. Okay. There we go.
Love it.
Right, so the armor class. I don't think the armor class is going to be all that great, to be honest. I don't think it needs to be all that great.
You could always have it take half damage from bladed weapons.
Yeah. No, but you carve a turkey and the meat just falls off, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's already been carved. It's nothing but the bone, so it's kind of like a skeleton.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Half damage from sharp weapons. Okay.
I just want to make it harder to kill, so the party is truly vexed by what is effectively a turkey carcass.
I'm not going to give it a great armor class, though.
No, because it's still just crunchy bones.
So 6. How many hit dice do you reckon?
Well, it's undead, so it can have more than it did in life. 4 hit dice seems reasonable. That way, it's a challenge.
Attacks 1 beak.
I don't know. The one part of the turkey that's not carved, that's not generally cooked, is the head. So maybe it's headless to make it even more gruesome, like a headless horseman.
Okay, so it'll have two claws then.
2 claws and a parsnip beak from the dressing. I don't know. It's got a parsnip where its head used to be, and it pecks you with a parsnip.
It's got a breath weapon where it shoots out moldy stuffing.
There you go. Out of the neck, it just disgorges. Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Okay.
And treat it as a melee attack. Just because it's not a long range, it kind of just splorks it out at you as you're fighting it. So it's a melee attack, but it's just blap.
Okay. 2 claws plus neck. Damage, not particularly high.
No, like 1d4 for a claw.
1d4, 1d4. And
Poison?
yes.
Food poisoning, you get ptomaine.
Neck attack, save versus poison or nauseous.
There you go.
And as per like a troglodyte, nausea. There we go.
Excellent. This thing's already nasty, but it is a turkey revenant, so it should be.
It is, yeah.
It's going to be like number appearing 1, probably. So
move, I think we're pretty much stuck at 60 for move. Saving throws, fight at 4. Morale, it's a revenant.
Yeah, it's never going to give up.
Alignment, they are utterly neutral. Number appearing 1.
Treasure type. Wishbone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make it a small percentage chance that the wishbone is still there, and if you actually can claim the wishbone from the revenant, allow for some sort of minor wish effect.
Okay. 5% chance of a wishbone being intact. There we go.
You go.
So, how would you do this one for AD&D, Doof?
I will literally just adapt it as it is.
As it is. You like it as it is. So
Yep.
frequency, very rare. Number appearing 1. Armor class 6. Move 6. Hit dice 4. Percentage in lair 0. Treasure type 5% of getting a wishbone. Attacks. We'll just put 3 there because we've already got it written down on the side. 1 to 4. 1 to 4. Poison.
I'm loving the wishbone because it now that I see like Halakar's like idea of 10% chance to give it give basically a limited wish, and I can just see the party fighting over who gets to just like real kids do, fight over the wishbone, and then it's still gonna be like a percentage. It's gonna be a challenge to see who gets the bigger piece of the wishbone and therefore gets the wish. So you can see parties brutalizing each other just to get the chance to at the wishbone, and then sour grapes when they don't get the other half.
It's small, it's turkey sized.
Yep. Sigh turkeys.
And the THACO is on 4 to 5 plus, which is 15. There we go. We have our turkey revenant.
Excellent.
Revenants in D&D were always neutral because they just didn't.
They weren't evil. They
weren't evil. No,
they were getting revenge.
Yeah,
for a wrong that was done to them, not just because revenge is cool.
Crispy bacon armor. Cranberry jellies. All right, we have to make a cranberry jelly now.
So you're already planning the next arc of the campaign where they have to venture into Thanksgiving land from Yule, the next town over.
Why Thanksgiving? Don't you have this at Christmas?
I guess you can. We were usually a ham at Christmas kind of family.
Oh, we don't do Thanksgiving in this country. We have our turkey and cranberry sauce at Christmas.
We have a dedicated turkey holiday. We can't have 2 turkey holidays. Some people do them on Christmas, so that's fine.
So, another one. I wonder if I can paste it. No, it won't let me paste. I've got to copy again. I should do a few more sheets, shouldn't I, in advance?
Oh well, who knew it would go this far?
Who knew? Who knew? I mean, we're coming up with all these ideas, so I'm just going to make loads of sheets in advance. There we go. There's another one.
There you go.
And there we go. There's another one. So I mean, we could go on all night with this nonsense.
All right, I am going to have to step away again real quick, but you guys begin without me.
Okay, so a cranberry jelly. Right. Okay. I'm gonna open to you guys. What do you reckon for a cranberry jelly? Obviously, we're taking the ochre jelly as a basis here. Nothing to do with spotted dicks. Chat are on fire tonight. Chat are on fire. And, yeah. That's for the Revenant. Yes. Haggis. You ever had haggis, Doof?
Nope.
It sounds disgusting. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's lovely.
Well, what is it?
It's a Scottish delicacy. It's the heart, lungs, and something else of a sheep, all minced with oatmeal and cooked inside a sheep's stomach.
Oh, delightful.
And it's absolutely delicious. You can have it battered and deep fried in Scotland.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. It sounds disgusting. It tastes wonderful.
I'll trust you on that one.
Yeah. It is indeed. You're right, Andrew. It is. It's glorious. It's so nice. Tick tick haunts pregnant women. It will smell out the scent of the pregnant woman, which is said to resemble ripe jackfruit when the devil arrives in the house. She's still. Oh God, Michael. Are we coming up with a Cthulhu type of monster here? Sticks a long tongue through the ceiling into the unwitting mother's womb and feasts on the fetus. Ow. This is very Cthulhu-esque. It isn't very similar to the Penangalan. Penangalan goes for pregnant women. Yes. Very, very Cthulhu-esque. Right. Okay, so a cranberry jelly causes slow for 1 day. I just need to sort out my lighting. My books have had to move as well, so I was referring to them. They were beside me, but they're not anymore. Right. Okay, so shall we use the ochre jelly as like the basis for a cranberry jelly? But we've got to obviously. So
I am just reading ochre jelly for the first time, and
you've never read ochre jelly?
I actually have not, because I've never reached these levels before.
Ochre jellies you can often find them in quite low level dungeons. They are quite lethal. So what we're looking at for a cranberry, you can have the same AC as an ochre jelly. I think that's about right. Now, one touch. I don't think it'd do quite as much damage. I can't see them as being acidic, but should we say two? I think just 1d6 for damage is enough. Movement rate 30. They're quite slow. Saving throws fighter 5. Morale. Need to work. We are going to need to work out what the special power of this particular thing is. Number appearing 1. Okay, so what can a cranberry jelly do that an ochre jelly can't?
I'm not the person to tell you.
Special attack slow. That's been suggested. Yeah, General Nutt and Andrew Hewson have said.
Maybe we should attack another part of the character sheet. I mean, we have already done saves and just normal attacks. Maybe try and go for the stats in some way.
I mean, it could affect dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying a special attack of slow. Each hit -1 dexterity, and puts the person under the effect of a slow spell for a day.
Ooh, that's nasty.
That is, yes, yes.
It's appropriate for hit die 5 creatures, gotta say.
Okay. Okay. If attack hits, -1 dex, and lethargic for 1 day, as per slow spell. There's got to be a saving throw, I think, for this. So we'll have save versus poison to resist. I think that's nasty. That is very nasty. Tartness can induce type 2 diabetes. Savers or spellcasters cannot cast spells with verbal components. I think the slow effect is sufficient, but it's going to have to be division. They divide up, and immunity as per ochre jelly. So you have to burn them or freeze them. Can squeeze through small cracks. Save versus paralysis. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, save versus paralysis rather than save versus poison. So, I mean, this is an example almost of a reskinning, because this is very much like an ochre jelly, just reskinned with a little twist to it.
I mean, if you're going to reskin it, I think this is how to do it.
Yes.
It's giving it a little twist.
Yeah. Yeah. The cranberry sauce, I think it's got a sweetness that might attract creatures. Bees and wasps, maybe. Does that sound fair?
Maybe we should make a insectoid creature to go along with it, so you actually find the jellies inside of their nests.
Yes. Yes. The jelly ant.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, bees. Well, I think jelly ants, I think, are a good idea here. So, but I like the idea of the hello from the hilt. I like the idea here of when burnt, gives off acrid smell as per stinking cloud. There we go.
Ooh.
That is now brutal. That is absolutely disgusting. Right. Okay. So AD&D terms, frequency. Yeah, you're going to be very rare, I think, with these. You reckon?
Yup.
Number appearing 1. We'll go with the same stats all the way down.
Ochre jellies are 1 to 3.
Oh, are they? Okay. Okay.
They can be numerous, especially at lower levels.
No treasure. I mean, they're not the cranberry version is not doing as much damage, so we just put there's so many here. So magic resistance, standard, intelligence, none. It's not intelligence at all. It's a jelly. Neutral. Size. How big's an ochre jelly? Is it classed as large or medium?
Medium.
Medium. Okay. Sonic, nil. And the Thaco is 15, I believe. There we go. Number appearing 1st of March. 1d3. That's Excel, converting everything to dates. Yeah, I've got in these. If the attack hits, I've got division and immunity as per ochre jelly in there. I'm gonna make it bigger so you can see. So rather than repeat that, I've just put division immunity as per ochre jelly. So yes, we have a twist on the ochre jelly.
Now I'm gonna have to make a dungeon with all of these things.
Yeah, they will.
I mean, they do go very well together.
They do. I mean, that's part of making a dungeon, isn't it? It's you theme areas and create some sort of living, breathing world. Right. So what about the jelly ants then? The jelly ants that feed on cranberry jellies.
What are the ant people called in AD&D? Is that the Formians?
There are Formians that are what they call the ones in the A series. Their name's always Aspis. There's Aspises as well. Their alphabet's already said Formians or Aspis. Okay, so how would the cranberry fare in the Arctic? Yeah, preserve it quite nicely. Actually, no, it wouldn't because it doesn't like cold. Right. But no, these ants, these are going to be a variant of the giant ant. So let's go on to the next sheet. Delete Turkey Revenant every time. So let's find, if you can find giant ant, that's going to be our basis, but we need to twist it a little. And I'm going to look for ant giant in my OSE book. And this is going to be creatures.
If I remember correctly, the giant ants in first edition and BX are different.
Well then we can make these different. We can use those differences then. So, or we can pick the one we prefer. Like, where are ants in OSE? Are they listed as giant ant? No, there's no ants there. Do we have giant ants at all? My book's going to fall on the floor if I'm not careful. Giant ant. There are no giant ants in OSE. Unless they're under something that I've looked under ant and giant ant.
They're called driver ants in OSE and back in BX. They were driver ants.
Driver ants. Oh, brilliant.
6 foot
Brilliant.
long ants. Sorry, I had to step away and grab
Yeah,
something.
they are larger in BX.
Driver ants. There we are.
Yeah,
Oh,
driver
yeah,
ant
they
will
are.
ruin your day. They're 4 hit dice.
What the fuck?
No, they're too big. They're too big. We'll use it. We'll use the template for the AD&D one.
That's still 2 hit dice. That's,
Yeah,
that-
yeah. And they've got a good armor class as well. So we won't bother with the driver ants. Okay. Right. So this is the jelly ant.
the jellied ant.
Jellied ant. Yes. Right. So have you got the AD&D stats to hand?
Okay. Armor class 3.
Yep, that's fine. He does 2.
Yep.
Attacks.
They have 1 attack, 1 to 6 with poison.
Okay. If echo would be 18 in this.
Mhm.
What was their movement rate?
18?
18. Ouch.
That's more than fast. Holy.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck characters running away from them. We'll use the driver ant morale. I think that's fair.
We could do a play on words, and instead of jellied ants, we could call them dodgy jammers.
Right. So their morale is 7, but once engaged in melee, so 7 initially, but once engaged in melee, it's 12. What's the number appearing for giant ants?
1 to 100. But that's in wilderness.
Yeah.
I think
It's a lot
4D.
more in layer, isn't it?
I mean AD&D does not differentiate between layers and just wandering monsters that often in the wilderness, but entries for when found in dungeons is different. I'm gonna see. I think I have the DMG open too. Nope.
See, I
Just
always
give me
ignore
a
that.
second.
I always ignore that. And I chose if something was in a lair and then rolled on the lair amounts.
Ant giant. Of course, it's not here. It's the one page I do not have on the PDF. It should be like 4d6 or something like that.
Okay.
Ant giant 1 to 100.
So in AD&D, you would find it in Appendix C. How many appear in the dungeon?
Oh yes, of course. Yes, yes. I don't. Where's my Dungeon Master's Guide?
Hold on, I got mine. Just a second.
Right, frequency.
I mean, very rare to go along with the jelly.
Yeah. Number appearing. We're saying it's a different number number appearing.
Said Appendix C.
Yup. Appendix C table for level 1.
Okay, I'm just having a little look. Cheers, Helicar.
K5K said 2 to 20.
2 to 20. Okay. We'll change that to 2d10 then. And we'll stick with that for the... Move. 18. Enjoy. Percentage in lair for these is the one.
Should be like 90 at least.
Any treasure type for them.
Just saying Appendix C is not as useful as I thought it might be. That's a huge section of the book. And it covers a lot of different topics.
True. Let's see.
It's somewhere in the dictionary.
In AD&D, it's Q times 3 and S.
Let's just go with Q times 3. Okay, so we've got to think about sort of special things they do that make them set them apart from giants.
They should just have, to start with, they should just have the jelly ability, like the same slow effect.
Okay.
But I'm like imagining these as being coated in jelly.
Michael's got an idea here. When they eat the jelly, it takes over their nervous system like a parasite.
Ooh.
Yes. So they're going to be they're going to be coated in the jelly. Yeah.
So maybe they're actually just carriers of the jelly. They're still under the control of the jelly.
Yeah.
That fits the name jellied ant better. So instead of giving them the same slow ability, an idea I had for another monster, but we could borrow it here. They could just be sticky and have a chance of things sticking to them, like the adherer.
Yeah. Okay. If hit, shall we say, 1 in 6 chance of weapon sticking to the ant. And putting in the mechanics, open doors check to free weapon. That's fair.
All right. Oh wow, the adherer itself is actually pretty tough. Any weapon that hits it automatically sticks. There's no chance.
Yeah, I mean, this is the jelly with this is more incidental than the cranberry jelly consumes and
so we could give the jelly dance a death attack. Basically, when they're killed, I mean, I know we've kind of done this already, but maybe their abdomens are full of the jelly, the cranberry jelly. And so when you kill them, it splashes out.
Or we could say, I'm thinking if the corpse is not burnt, then within 24 hours, a cranberry jelly will emerge.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's different. It's a different effect, and it also sort of builds danger and in a way also kind of punishes some player behavior, not in a bad way, not in an adversarial way, but for those players, those parties that like to camp where they killed things, and don't clean up after themselves, this will come back to haunt them. You could even make it less than 24 hours, so it's actually more likely to affect them. So like
8 hours.
8 hours. So yeah, during a sleep, it's likely to creep out while they're sleeping and get them.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think that's enough. It just sort of has them living alongside the cranberry jellies.
Crafting gamer, I would say that the cranberry jellies use the ants as mobility to spread themselves, not necessarily to reproduce. I mean, incidentally to reproduce if they're turning other things into jellies as they kill them, but the ants' extra mobility allows them to move much faster and spread across the region.
Oh, Doof's gone.
Yeah, he had to go. He messaged real quick, got to run.
Okay. I'm saying from the hilt. I'm saying one jelly emerges from a one jellied ant. I think that's fair.
That would be probably made up of the jelly that's in it and on it, and
yes.
With the I can't remember with the original cranberry jellies. Did we give them a lesser stat block for when they're cut in half, or is it just the same stats?
Same stats.
Okay.
Same stats. Yeah.
Because say we could use the lesser version from that as what comes out of the ant, but yeah.
We'll be using the same splitting, dividing mechanics as with ochre jellies.
Yep.
Giant ant larva is a delicacy in Kierland. It can be sold for double its weight in gold. That's fine. For a few days, a small cranberry tree sprouts, investing the rest.
We finished.
Over time, all are turned into jelly. Okay, so we're going to finish up this. So we have special attack. No special defenses, but we'll just see below on there. Magic resistance, standard, intelligence, animal, alignment, neutral, size, small. They're about 2 foot long. And the Thaco in AD&D is obviously a lot worse. A lot better for the creature. And there we have the jellied ant. Those who haven't seen the others, we've had cranberry jelly, turkey revenant, we've had a metal goose, we've had suicide goose, we've had goose hydra, and those are my turtle men that I made for one of the levels of my dungeon, just as an example. Right, so we're on to the next page. Still making more monsters. Let's
see.
Let's see what ideas people can come up with.
Yeah, as I say, throw something out, folks.
I can share the template on the Discord if you want. It's just it's a very, very simple. It took me 5 minutes to knock it up. I'll tell you that now. Black pudding. Black pudding. Do like that. Right. We've already got black pudding in various forms of D&D. So blood pudding is a new type of monster. So we're thinking more oozes. A blood pudding ooze with lumps of pig's blood and fat. I'm thinking we need more undead. Really do think we need more undead. Which undead idea was it? Sorry, Michael. I'm not keeping up particularly well with chat because I keep having to flip off the screen to go to my Excel. So I do apologize. If you can just repeat your undead idea, then we'll use it. Oh, okay. No worries, Michael. Right. A stuffed body. We've
What
already got
about
that.
undead Christmas trees from the ones that were used up in the holiday? Zombie Christmas tree.
So something like there'd be something like the twig blights that are in 5th edition.
That's true. So you could just reskin those.
Yeah, yeah.
How about a stocking the stockings that scour the land and swallow things up?
Or maybe I'm thinking more like an executioner's hood type thing for that sort of thing. Zombie snowman. Shall we go there and go for spotted dick?
Let's not. Come on, chat. Throw something out.
Custard ooze. Ginger undead man. Fairy on top of the tree.
Ghost
Chimney
somebody got
spirit.
stuck in the chimney. That's cool.
Yes, we're
You
getting
take
some
shelter
ideas.
in a quaint little cottage you find out in the snow. You hear a scratching coming from up the flue in the middle of the night. A long, craggly hand reaches out from down from up above.
Right, we're going to go with Mar Hawkman's suggestion here.
Blood
The
pudding.
next one. A vampiric ooze called the blood pudding. Right, okay. So I think we need to look up black pudding as a basic, but I don't think it's going to start off as tough. I think it can grow when it hits you. Okay, there we go. I'm on the page of black pudding. So I'm going to use the basic black pudding stats and start it off a little bit weaker. They've got 10 hit dice. So I'm going to drop that down to 5 to start with, but with the idea that every time it claims a victim, it gains a hit die. Yeah, maybe. Does that sound sensible?
Sounds good to me.
3 wise men, but undead. Soot-covered hand. The candle bat. It has a nasty habit of setting things on fire by igniting itself after it lands.
Will-o-wisp Christmas lights.
Yes. Okay, so 1 touch attack. Damage. Now, I don't want it to be as lethal as black pudding. I think that's about right. Just stop me if you disagree with anything I put down.
Well, if we're going with the basic stat block for black pudding, I mean, we're already kind of out of there with half the hit dice.
Okay. Morale, 12. Alignment, neutral. Number appearing, 1.
I just thought of
No.
one I really that sounds fun. A reskin of the wild hunt, but it's just a phantom sleigh ride that goes through the countryside. And if you hear the bells, you're charmed and have to get on the sleigh and ride with it throughout the night.
Keep that in your head because that'll be the last
will.
monster we do. That'll be the last monster we do. Right. Okay. So. Vampiric.
Mark genre mixer, kind of. That's how it ended up. We were kind of doing holiday themed monsters, mostly Christmas.
recovers hit points equal to damage it causes. That's nasty. That's very nasty. If
Later, grumpy old Slan.
Cheers, Slan. Slays a warm-blooded creature, it consumes the body and gains 1 hit dice. There we go. Immunities, resistances, same as black pudding. There we go. That's rough. That is rough. It's a blood pudding. So this is a vampiric black pudding. Firework bats.
We could make it even worse. After it absorbs a certain number of hit points, it splits automatically, creates a new one.
Oh.
So you got to kill it fast, otherwise you're going to end up with another one.
Well, they already divide if hit.
Well, we could get rid of the dividing at a hit.
Okay.
And then make it to where, once they reach 10 hit dice, they split into a second 5 hit die monster.
Or, I mean, we could say that if they absorb enough hit points in combat to take them above what the maximum would be for a 5 hit dice creature, then another one is created.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking for something to make it slightly different functionally from the black pudding, besides the blood drain.
If hit points absorbed oh, how about if absorbs 20 hit points, then it splits.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
From the hilt
keep it
suggests
simple.
making it immune to slashing weapons. So instead of splitting it,
yeah, immune to sharp weapons, but bludgeoning will affect it.
Yep, you can splat it.
Yes. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, it's distinct
fine.
enough from the black pudding, and it's got that vampiric nature, and then it has that kind of doom clock built into it. Like if you don't kill it fast enough, you're going to end up with another one. So,
and I'm going to change the word recovers here to gains, because recovers suggests it's healing, not necessarily it can make it grow.
Yeah, that way also it can continue to do well. So, never mind. No, I was going to say I was about to make it too fiddly, but never mind. All right, so
That's what we need to do for that, because we're basically transferring across to AD&D. We know how to do that.
Yeah,
okay.
We've demonstrated it enough with Doof's help.
Yes. There we go. Right, so one last new monster for this stream, and it's going to be a version of the Wild Hunt called the wild sleigh ride.
There we go.
Yes. Okay. Number appearing. There is only one. Frequency. We're going to put it up here. Unique. Okay, now this is going to be...
Just reminds me of that damn song I had to sing in school, lightly flying over the snow. When we learned it in grade school, they made us learn it in English and in one of the Scandinavian languages that it was originally in or something. I can't remember, but it was interesting.
I don't think I know it.
Yeah, it's fun, but yeah, it's one of those songs that can loop on itself, and so it really makes me think of this runaway sleigh ride. So.
Right. Okay, I'm going to get the Wild Hunt out here to inspire us, but it's going to be toned down somewhat from the Wild Hunt. But not completely. Right. So this is going to be a high level creature. Reckon about 12 hit dice, maybe more.
It's got to be something big and powerful. Otherwise, the players are just going to kill it.
So how's it going to operate? It's going to be pulled by a single reindeer. You have to damage the reindeer in order to get it to stop.
Yeah, I mean, or you could make it to where it requires some sort of magical effect to break it. To break the hold on it has on it, like I don't know. I don't want to make it as easy as like a remove curse spell.
No.
Although that could be something, but
12 hit dice grows 1 per month up to December. Yes.
Andrew Hewson, if that's an answer to me, no, it's not Jingle Bells that I'm thinking about. It's there's a definitely a different song.
Okay, so the attacks are going to be a charging antler attack from the reindeer at the front, and a trample attack. Okay. So one attack, but it's going to have a charge attack, trample. Anything in its way, save. Anything in path. One D20 dex check to avoid, and the damage is going to have to be fairly nasty. $46 damage. Is that fair? Just say if you disagree.
Damage. Yeah, sounds good. It's powerful enough to where it's going to be dangerous.
I have no idea on the Thacker of a 12 hit dice creature in OSC. It is uncaring. It is neutral. One antlers. Multiple reindeer, 4. Yes, okay, yeah. So that's a good idea. that. 4 reindeer, 12 hit point damage, kills 1 and reduces speed by 30. Charm. Any intelligent creature seeing the sleigh ride must save versus spells or be drawn towards it. Yeah, that's a good idea as well. Only on this plane for a limited amount of time. So you can get
certain
you can
number of
whisked.
turns or time before you're carried away, or a certain number of hours or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Or when the sleigh is full, there are seats in the sleigh for 6 victims. Once 6 victims have been drawn into the sleigh, it returns to its own world,
So
trapping the victims.
I would maybe lower that to 4.
4 victims. Okay.
The reason being is that 6 means that any small sized party is never going to have to worry about it.
Right. Okay.
But 4 would mean that and with a 6-person party, you might have a situation where the external sources would still be able to help. That requires then having some sort of ongoing effect that people have to save against.
Yeah.
But I imagine the main danger there would be as party members are trying to save an entrapped party member, that they might come under its sway as well and then join.
Yeah. I'm going to say about this thing about 8 reindeer. I would think once 4 reindeer of those 8 have been killed, it might return to its own plane to recover.
It disappears.
Yes.
So the reindeer are sort of what allows it to come out of its whatever dimension it comes from.
Yes. So if they take out 4 of the reindeer, it will return to its own dimension to recover and not appear again until the next Christmas.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. I think that's pretty effective, and that's pretty brutal. It'll only try to trample or attack with the antlers any creature that is not charmed. If the creatures are charmed by it, it will leave them alone. I know Santa's got more reindeer, but I think it would. I mean, of course, it doesn't have to be empty. I mean, yeah, it can arrive with only 1 seat free. So once it's filled, it can whisk somebody away.
That'd be an interesting way of introducing new people, because like, where this other person come from? Like, if you were able to save them, then suddenly you have an NPC on your hand.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it comes preloaded with 1d4 minus 1 passengers. with the minus 1 equaling 0 if it rolls a 1 and then it's totally empty.
Yeah.
And where there's always a free seat when it appears, so at least one party member is going to get snagged.
So we've made a lot of monsters, but unfortunately, it seems the sleigh ride has taken us a little bit beyond what people want to see because the number in chat has halved while we've been making the wild sleigh ride.
Yeah, they were like in the goofy food monsters. Also, given the time, it's also a lot of people are probably having to go to work or start dinner and stuff if they're stateside, so or Canada side. They're in North America or South.
Yeah, that's true. Or maybe it has just made them hungry and they've gone to cook.
Maybe
turkey.
They got carried away by a magical sleigh.
Maybe gone to cook turkey with cranberry jelly. But no, I think that's. I think we've ended our list of monsters with the right thing there. The wild sleigh ride. I think that's a good.
Yeah, sounds
unique Christmas opponent. So
it's one that could show up at any time too. So it's like you could have it recurring in a campaign. You're like, they hear those bells and they don't know if it's a legit sleigh or if it's like, oh no, it's that damn sleigh again.
Yes.
Now, is there a way to slay the sleigh?
Permanently, no.
Because it's a minor deity of its own or something, or some sort of it's some sort of planar being.
Yeah. But it'll only hit one settlement each Christmas. That's the thing. That's the thing. And it's just pure luck or misfortune as to which settlement it goes for.
That's cool. So it's like every winter they could see settlements in the area bracing for when it shows up.
Yes.
Now, little children, remember, don't wander out at night. And if you hear sleigh bells ringing in the distance,
yes, make sure you take out earplugs whenever you go out. and if you see flashing lights, close your eyes. Do not be tempted.
Yeah, I mean, you could detail it with a whole bunch of stuff and give it some sort of identifying characteristic to where people could tell if it was the sleigh or just some regular sleigh ride. Maybe there's a different light to its lantern or something, an eerie green lantern light.
Yes, that can all be in the description.
Yep.
All be in the description. We do like a second edition AD&D ecology of the sleigh ride piece. feeding and all that sort of stuff. Yes. For those who weren't at the start, the main reason for doing all this Christmassy stuff is my OSE game world that I'm running is the Land of Yule, and people have all sort of piggybacked onto it. And we've got now got 3 or 4 different sessions running in different parts of the world. But my own one is the Christmas one, and the dungeon is called the Caverns of Krampus. There are 12 layers to the dungeon. The first level was Partridge in a Pear Tree. The party have just completed 2 turtle doves, and I made turtle people for that level. Next level is going to be 3 French hens, so you can guess as to what sort of features are going to be in there. So we're going to be moving down the dungeon with the theme for each one. So we started off by making geese for the 6 geese are laying. I'm very tempted to make were swans for the swans are swimming. Yes, swan lycanthropy.
Isn't that well, they already have the Swan May in AD&D, but that's an enchanted swan.
Yeah, but maybe there are some captured swan mays down there. We shall see. We shall have to see.
There you go.
So I
or
don't
maybe
know.
It's a swan night. None shall pass.
5 gold rings. I've got ideas for that one. 4 calling birds. Harpies. Shh. No, I probably won't do harpies. Except I might. I don't know who's watching. Any of my players are watching. I know General Nut was watching earlier. He's playing in that game. It doesn't matter. And Slan as well. He's gone though, isn't he? He plays in it as well.
Yeah.
The partridge in a pear tree has already been sorted, though. It's basically the town of Yule is in an area of permanent winter, but it stays warm from the glow of an enchanted partridge, and not enchanted partridge, enchanted pear. But it had lost its luster, so they had to get the enchanted water from the well to give it. And I didn't have a partridge at all. I just had the pear tree, so I need to bring a partridge in somewhere.
It's a family of bards.
So yeah, yes, partridge family. But we do have a comedy character in Britain called Alan Partridge. If you've ever heard of him, it's a comic actor, Steve Coogan, who created him. And he is a spoof radio presenter who just is a bit of a, you know how David Brent is in The Office. He thinks he's great, but he's useless. Yeah, I don't know. Was he called David Brent in the American version of The Office?
I have not actually watched The Office. I'm tangentially, familiar with it, but yeah, I've never actually watched it.
Well, Alan Partridge was
either version.
He had a catchphrase. There you go, aha! And his theme tune was "Knowing Me, Knowing You." Aha! And his Christmas one was "Knowing Me, Knowing Yule" with Alan Partridge. I remember that as well. He was very funny, very funny. But yeah, the idea harpies each with different elemental alignments. I like that. General Nut, close your ears. Right. Anyway, we are at that point in the stream where we've done all our constructive stuff. So are we just going to talk nonsense now? For
the ramble.
The ramble. Anybody in chat fancy joining us for the ramble at the end? You're more than welcome. In fact, shall I put the thing out for people to potentially join us?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong, mate? What could go wrong?
I mean, you could always boot them. I mean, if they get to be bad, so it's not like there's any real risk. No, I mean, as far as general monster creation, I like I said, I really enjoy it. I've gone. One of my favorites is redoing trolls to fit Scandinavian style trolls for my campaign, and
not
then
internet,
all the variants
not internet trolls.
No. Not internet trolls, but no. I mean, so for my Scandinavian trolls, I took away the regeneration, made them resistant to non-magical weapons. Talking 5th edition stats here, obviously, but because that's what I'm currently playing. Made them resistant to non-magical weapons. Had them vulnerable to radiant damage because in a lot of the crossover Christian folklore, trolls are, of course, repelled by holiness. And
greetings.
Hey.
Yes, I'm Darman.
Good evening, fellas. Good evening, Christopher. That's from the Hilt. And good evening, Mark Hawkman.
Well, the one thing I mentioned in chat earlier, because when you were asking, it's like, hey, what ideas did you come up with? Well, okay, this was a Star Trek setting, and it's not technically a monster, but it's an enemy you can fight. Was a Borg version of a Vorta. Which, if you remember Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the Vorta are those annoying people who are basically the paperwork shufflers for the Dominion.
Okay.
Well, some of them have telekinetic powers, and this one, as a cyborg, was able to use her cybernetic enhancements to boost her telekinesis.
Are basically paperwork shufflers for the Dominion.
That's interesting. So a Borg with telekinesis?
Yeah.
This one, as a cyborg, was able
hold
to
on,
use her cybernetic enhancements to boost her telekinesis.
Andy, I think we can hear your
Yeah, I did that too. Sorry.
It's better.
I forgot to turn the stream off.
Yeah, if you join in, you'll need to turn the background stream off and just watch through this bit because we can hear it comes through
Yeah, if you
secondary.
just mute your YouTube channel and just get the audio through StreamYard, you're good.
I mean, as a Vorta, she's, someone who's a reasonably smart person. So, but in terms of combat abilities, this means she would create these telekinetic doppelgangers of herself that can, surround you while you have to fight the main person, because the telekinetic doppelgangers, they don't actually take damage.
Cool. So illusory telekinetic doppelgangers.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, well, so what would you get if Borg Vorta wanted to kill you?
That sounds interesting. I mean, the thing is, monster creation is definitely not unique to fantasy. If you're doing sci-fi, you've got aliens to work with. Even if you're doing something like cyberpunk, you still have the option for monsters. What kind of weird cyber mechanism or thing?
Like Cyberpunk 2077, they came up with some really, really weird ideas for cybernetics. Like, you have the basic stuff, and then you have this gun that has literally a mind of its own and will target enemies for you.
The smart gun.
I haven't played the new Cyberpunk. I did back in the early 2000s, but it was kind of fun.
Cyberpunk 2020 is kind of my sweet spot. I mean, not to turn this into the Cyberpunk thing, but even with Cyberpunk, there was opportunities for monsters. Was kind of my point, because you can create cybernetic enemies, robotic enemies, super ninjas, whatever. I mean, a monster. Is a pretty broad category.
I've seen some settings where they would have like cybernetic guard dogs, where it has the intelligence of a dog, but it has cybernetic implants equal to military cyborg hardware.
Yeah,
that works.
I just want to say hello, Daniel. You haven't joined us on stream before.
Yeah, well, always the first time for everything.
Daniel's been playing in our OSC games over the last few weeks, and I know for a fact that my streams have helped his family get into D&D, which is really heartening.
Yeah, my daughter kind of sits in the den with me sometimes, and she thinks that every once in a while she'll even hack the account and start typing crap when I go to the bathroom.
Yes, we've seen that happen. And
but
Andy,
they asked, and now her boyfriend's going to start playing too, so it's kind of cool.
Cool. And Andy's muted himself. I was going to say hello to Andy because
I'm hearing a lot of different voices keeping on howl around and repeat. So.
All right. Okay. All right. No problem.
One of them may have been me, but I went because I was on the YouTube cast, and I figured out one of them was delayed, so I went and muted the. So one of them may have been me until I figured out what I was hearing.
Yeah. Just so you know, when you do join in through the StreamYard, it runs separately to YouTube. So if you have YouTube playing, it'll be out of sync. And if you've got,
I went over and deleted that, so that helped a lot.
And that's why they do suggest having a separate headset and not having a background speakers playing.
I just wear headphones and mute the YouTube tab.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I got a real quick shout out to Logan there. You now are the first person to be on stream that can give me beard envy.
I told you when we were on Bear Show.
That's funny.
The girl's wild, man.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Hey, my wife likes it, so I'm lucky.
Yeah, I was told never to shave my beard again. Because
pretty much the same thing. She says I look too much like my brother, and she don't like that.
I look 12. So,
yeah, that happens.
But so we heard from Mar Hawkwood on a monster idea. Anybody else got kind of cool monster ideas that they've thrown out in their games before? Or
You want us to keep on holiday theme?
oh no, just in general, because I was waxing nostalgic for my trolls.
I like the jellied ant. I have something similar called an undead ant, but what I like to do is give a generic name to my monsters, and then in different regions they call it different things.
Oh yeah, that's a good tactic. I know in one game I ran, they had to go into the mountains and find a gullug, and they're like, "What's a gullug?" And it was really just a giant toad. But in that area, they had these things called gulligs, which were giant mountain toads that were toads that were stone colored. So then when they were just sitting there, they looked like a boulder on the side of the mountainside. But they were told to go find a gullug, because I'm thinking very rarely are people just going to sit around going, go kill a giant boar, go kill a giant frog, frog, giant.
Yeah, I had this bandit that they had captured in my PC's group, and he was scared of these giant butterflies, and he was calling them raspids. And then it turned out they were these carnivorous butterflies, and it scared the heck out of my players. I like to do stuff like that. It looks simple and easy, and then it's nasty.
Yeah.
One idea you can borrow from real world stuff is that sometimes a certain color variation of something will have a different name, and thus when an NPC is talking about something, they use that variant's name and not the name of the species as a whole.
Well, a good example, just a real world example, is the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, skunk ape, whatever you want. Same creature description all across the United States, but every region has its own name for it.
And even in Europe and Asia and everything too.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying in one country alone,
well,
in one language.
You can go from Ohio to Pennsylvania, and they have 2-3 different names.
Yeah,
within 100 miles of each other.
Living in Washington, there are at least 3 different tribal, or native names that I know in the area for it. The Skookum is one. Sasquatch is derived from a native word.
Yeah.
But it's actually kind of cool. There's a river called Skookumchuck in Washington.
Cool.
And it means big water. But there's also but the name gets interchanged, because Skookum means powerful, but it also means it's also a word they use for a Bigfoot-like creature. So.
What, they don't call it a Wendigo?
Totally different monster.
Yeah,
different one. Yep.
Wendigo's way different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my MERP group, they're currently on the edge of. I don't know how familiar you are with the Middle Earth world. They're currently on the edge of the Erin Vaughan in southwest, on the edge of Cardolan, and I'm running them through the adventure Woses of the Blackwood. And even though they're described as Woses in the name of the adventure, the actual Woses in there are Befren, which are a different branch of Woses, and the various people in the region have different names for them. And that's one of the hard parts. It's learning the Elven name and learning the local name, and they're all actually still Woses, sort of. And I'm not that good at memorizing the names yet, but
one of my personal favorite bits of trivia is what cat species in real life has the most names for it.
What cat species? Huh.
The mountain lion.
Yeah, I was going to say the North American
mountain lion, cougar.
Yeah.
Lion.
Every native culture from the frozen north to the frozen south has seen them and has their own name for them.
Yep. Well, even in Pennsylvania, there's 2 or 3 different. You have the Nittany lion, you have the mountain lion, even though they haven't been around for 150 years at least now. But yeah,
they're still around in Washington.
Well,
even
all the little old ladies and kids that get attacked.
Even in a country as little as my native Britain, there's all sorts of regional names for various animals, and keeping on top of those is almost impossible because we've got so many regional dialects, and
Yeah.
other languages which
You
have
have
died out.
neighborhood dialects, though.
You know,
What's that? Oh, that's a Bobby Wobba. It's almost as bad as Australia.
I mean, to get into the argument with people from different parts of the British Isles as to what to call a bread roll.
Or say a bat or a bun or a cob or yeah.
Yeah. Which part? Which I mean, I say, Andy, your accent is British. So which part of the British Isles are you from?
I'm down on the south coast, my dear. I was born and dig up down here in Dorset.
In Dorset, yes, Dorset. Nice part of the world. But,
yeah.
So you're not far from. There's what he's not in the chat tonight. Gene from Inksplat Records, who currently lives in Bridgewater in Somerset. Somerset.
Oh, a bit of a way away, yeah.
It's not far. we're dealing with Americans and Canadians mostly on this channel.
I know.
Distances.
Where I am now, speaking of regional names, sometimes they are as unimaginative as Giant Frog, because here in Missouri, where I now find myself, the Bigfoot is just called the Missouri Monster.
I mean, in Arkansas, our capital city of Arkansas is literally named Little Rock because it's named after a monolith that's just like a natural feature on the river, and that they just named it after a geographic feature that didn't even have a proper name.
Yeah,
I'm not sure a lot of Americans get original. I mean, in Utah, our capital is Salt Lake City.
You ever want to see
There's the
original?
link.
There's an entire monster manual to look up from North American folklore, and that's the loggers, monsters of the woodlands. There's a whole creature codex that the loggers working in United States and Canada came up with, like the hide behind, the hodag, all these other creatures that were all just created by drunk lumber workers. And around fires bored off their asses. The hide behind is a particularly nasty monster because you can never see it when you're looking directly at it. It only appears when you're looking away from it. And
like the questing beast.
Yeah, except for the hide behind stalks you and tries to kill you. The hide behind will be behind a tree, and then you'll turn around, and then it can be behind anything. One story has a person looking down, and it's like it's on the bottom of their horse, hanging on the bottom of their horse, so we're trying to get them. And like the hodag is just a big old horned lizard cat combination, and it's probably just the drunk description of a cougar mixed with a little bit of Native American lore.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about myths and horrors and whatever in Canada.
Bread and butter.
And there's all sorts of wonderful ideas that come out from that you can just store in the back of your mind and then spring on players when they're doing things.
Oh yeah, I almost wonder if the bowler from D&D, if anybody's ever familiar with that one from the Monster Manual 2, which is basically just a big rolling sphere that comes down the mountain. I'm wondering if that was inspired by another one of the logger monsters. There's essentially a whale that clings to the side of sloped mountains and holds on with the claws on its feet and waits for passersby to come under, and then slides down and gets them.
I think it's more likely to have been inspired by a drunken night at a 10-pin bowling alley and an accident that happened.
Possibly.
Well, that's why you have so many different descriptions of cougars. It all depends on what bar and how late after 2:30 in the morning it is.
And how absolutely terrified you are when you encounter it too. Because that's the other thing, is that the human brain completely screws things up when it's terrified.
Somewhere in my big library of books that I have a book of, it's North American folklore, so it's about the Native Americans, and it's like a lot of it is their different monsters and stuff. I'll have to look it up
Yeah.
And like one of these days, once we're done gaming and we're in our BS part of it, I'll have to drop some of the names, and that might give people something to work with on ideas to come up with stuff.
Isn't the BS part the best part, Daniel?
Actually, it is. They're both good
Hey.
parts. I do have a lot of fun on the BS part. Don't get me wrong; they're both fun.
Yeah, the Native American folklore is one of my favorites. I mean, that's not a secret I ever hide. There's a lot of good ones, like the Aklut, which is basically a killer whale that can transform into a wolf, or a killer whale that can come on land and walk.
Damn.
It's thought anthropologically that it was basically an excuse to describe why you'd find a pair of wolf prints going to the edge of the ice
Okay.
and then disappearing.
There you go.
Or coming back from it, but they're a cool shape-shifting monster. And the one that is interesting, there's some recurring themes too, like horned serpents are really common in Native American folklore. It'd almost be like their version of a dragon, because different cultures have different variations of the same core monster. The Uktana, the Meshu Pishu are good ones. Meshu Pishu is a Quetzalcoatl is another example. Yeah,
Quetzalcoatl, Central America. I mean, like if you go to the plains, some of those groups have some really, really interesting myths. Like, and I actually once looked up the creation myths of the Anasazi. That's some weird stuff, because it's like, oh, we came from this underworld area that where the people didn't have faces, and so on and so forth.
Well, creation myths in general are pretty kooky sometimes.
But the weird twist with that one, though, is the implication that the people without faces are still down there somewhere, because only some of them became humans.
And that's the stuff that Lovecraft loved. Some strange, unknown, unspeakable, not white group has this horrible thing that lives in the underground. I must write about it and write 8 million pages about what I think it is, and it absolutely isn't. I've mentioned before the story The Mound. That is a grudge project of his. He ghost wrote this story called The Mound, and this woman who wanted him to write a story, so she contracted him to do it, and she gave him a slip of paper that had, in the middle of the plains, there is an earth mound. On that mound is a ghost. That's all she gave him. By the time he's done, you've got this entry to another realm where it's far below the earth, and they keep mutated humans as cattle, and they're all decadent and blah blah blah. And the ghost is actually a guardian on the hill.
You know, as a kid, I found the mound builder civilization to be fascinating because of just how little we actually know about them. But there's all sorts
from them
of weird Lovecraftian stuff you could do. It's like, why are they burying so many things under these giant piles of dirt?
That's exactly what the mound is based around. It's based around one of these earth mounds in the central states. And I'm sorry, Andy, you said something real quick there, but I didn't catch it a little bit back ago when I was
going to say it sounds like the sort of thing that any gaming session can devolve into. If the party goes left and you wanted them to go right, and it's like, okay, this is where we'll go now. Yeah,
it's like you could almost say like the Shadow over Innsmouth could almost be like the party insists on going to that oceanside town, and the DM's like, I have nothing. So it's full of creepy people who look weird, and that's because they're part fish, because they're Sahaugen that live in a reef off the coast. Exactly.
Some of my best game sessions are like that, where they just go not where I've got planned, and I just have to make everything up as they go that way.
Oh yeah, I've even challenged myself sometimes and just gone, this session I'm not going to prep at all. What can I do?
Yep, I used to do that every week.
I'm going to GM by the seat of my pants.
In September, October, and November, I'm running the 11th season of a game that we started in 2015, and our club only meets once a week, and then we do 2-month sessions or a 3-month session at the end of the year. And at the moment, I have vague ideas about what's going to happen, but it's pretty much going to be, okay, we're leaving, coming back from where we were last time, and you've moved on a few weeks, and what are you doing? And then I'll have to make it up as I go.
Yeah.
And they are 11th level, and it's 5e, so...
If you don't know what's going to happen, the players can't know. I looked at it that way for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of my best monster creations, kind of bringing it back on topic, have just been things that I've had to cook up on the fly.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a ghost, and it does this thing that because ghosts are boring.
There's some interesting monsters you could do based on Native American burial rituals of all things. Like there's certain Native American groups where their preferred method of burying, in air quotes, the dead was to make wooden platforms and then just leave the corpse on top of a wooden platform out in the woods.
Yep.
And it's one of those things like Pet Cemetery. You disturb the burial ground, and then suddenly all of the corpses get up off their platforms, and surprise!
I never read Pet Cemetery. I only know it from the movies, but my wife is a huge Stephen King fan. I never knew that the Wendigo factors into that.
Oh yeah.
Like Pet Cemetery was based off of the idea that these Native American burial grounds were cursed places.
It's a very
that's a Hollywood trope, isn't it?
So I'm trying to find a nice way of saying let's slur the native folks kind of belief system.
Well,
on a happy note,
I'm not sure
very
it's
colonial
right
outlook.
word.
Let's put it that way.
I don't know.
One of my cats is named Church after the cat in Pet Cemetery because he looks exactly like that cat. Same color gray and everything. And he pretty much has the same demeanor as the asshole that came back in the movie.
Well, I mean, that's actually one of the things that a lot of people have found amusing about the cat in Pet Cemetery is they're like, oh, so it's come back as this an undead revenant version of itself. Okay, it's still acting like a cat.
It's still a cat, exactly. Yep. Yeah. Well, I have 2 dogs that weigh 100 pounds, and they're both afraid of that cat.
Yeah, well, Cujo is a much scarier movie than in that regard than Pet Cemetery.
Yes, yeah.
It's not until the kid comes back from the dead in Pet Cemetery that it gets really dangerous.
Exactly, that's when that movie.
Because I mean, really, an undead cat is still just a football.
Yep, pretty much.
Not too fond of the remake on that one. The original Pet Cemetery was in my opinion a little bit better.
I found them both good for different reasons. The remake delves a lot more into the lore of the cemetery and the overall creepiness than the original does. So.
Yes, I like the lore part of it.
Ooh, another one that I just thought of that was a thing that you could do is like there was one Native American group. I'm not sure what the name was, and I'm not sure the people that I read about it from actually had a name for them, even where people found burial sites where they would make these big clay pots, and their method of burying the dead was to just shove the dead person inside a clay pot and seal the pot.
Oh, was it a Southwestern tribe? I know I've heard of it. I just
sounds familiar, but the name doesn't.
I just can't remember.
But yeah, it's like a variation of the whole like mummy thing. It's like you come inside the room and then suddenly the lids pop off the pots. Surprise!
I didn't say don't open the pots. You know?
It's Link's worst nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Is there something in the pot, or is the pot the monster?
But no, reskinning is a good tactic I use a lot, but I also like to just minor mod stuff. Like, goblin variants are super easy. Just add an ability from another monster onto a goblin.
Yep.
It's like, oh, they're chameleonic.
The first ever
stealth goblins.
I mean, So when I was running fifth edition, the first 5e campaign I wrote, I created a goblin lair, and one of the things I particularly hate about the standard monsters is them all having expected damage and expected whatever. And straight away I just dived in and just completely hacked them to bits.
Yeah.
There were goblin fishermen that were armed with fishing rods. There were goblin blacksmiths who were wearing chain coats and armed with warhammers. And you just tweak and twist and just make things feel more organic.
The thing is even as a player, it's hard not to metagame.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were doing that Sunday afternoon, and I was trying not to, but you still fall into doing that. And by changing up your monsters and reskinning them, then I actually like it because as a player, you can't metagame because I really don't like that. And I try not to, but I don't care who you are, you find yourself doing.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
difficult. As a DM, if I'm running and someone is obviously treating it as their metagaming, oh, I know all the stats, they will change on the fly immediately.
Yeah, it's one of the things I really miss about AD&D in 5e's monster descriptions is I really liked the frequency, the frequency stat that was on the stat block in AD&D. I used to use frequency as a measure of how much people would tend to know about things.
Yes.
A particularly common monster would be better known. Now, there were exceptions. Dragons are big mythical creatures that probably have lots of stories told about them. But then again, that's also one of those places where you can plant false information. I'm sorry, that legend was wrong. But, somebody might... I got to the point where I'm like, okay, trolls are relatively common monsters. If you use the classic troll, and everybody's like, oh, I pull out my torch and start burning the troll on the first time they ever encounter it. I'm like, you probably know the stories about trolls. Look out, young Bobby! If you ever encounter a troll in the woods, make sure you pull out your torch.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, the legendary creatures, the ones that all adventurers will have heard of. I have no problem, no problem with that. Oh, it's a walking corpse. It's undead. Get the cleric on the case and try and turn it. And those basic things should be known by adventurers.
Yeah.
But an adventurer is not going to know the exact way to deal with a Penangalan, for example, my favorite monster.
Well, I mean, if he's Indonesian, he might.
Well, with the troll example, though, is that what if it's a creature that was described as looking like a troll, but it's actually a Japanese oni?
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, the local descriptions like, oh, you're fighting an ogre. It can work against them too, because you could describe an ogre in a way that makes it sound like they're against a troll, and now they're freaking out when it's still just an ogre. A big bag of hit points.
I mean, it's like you whip out your torch and you try to light an Oni on fire. Yeah, that's quite good.
And it's a good opportunity to bring it. It's a good opportunity to bring in all sorts of lurid rumor tables as well. You hear from the drunk in the local tavern.
Well,
or it could just be an ogre that's decided to paint himself blue and put on a couple of boar tusks in his mouth to where he looks particularly creepy. I am an Oni. Fear my magic.
Yeah.
A good tactic is to use a spell. Like I had some zombies coming up, and they thought, "Oh, zombies easy." But I'd had a wizard cast stone skin on all the zombies.
Oh.
And so it just changed the dynamic of the entire encounter just with one little spell.
Ooh, I just thought of something. Have you ever read the actual story of St. George and the Dragon?
No.
Can't say that I have.
How many different ways did the dragon kill St. George?
I'm not sure. It's been so long. I can't
see, because this is a classic case of a story where it's actually a party doing the dragon slaying. It's St. George would have failed if he'd done it alone. He had a local cleric pray for him to save him from being killed by the dragon multiple times. One of those was the dragon lighting him on fire by spitting flame breath at him. One of them was the dragon just like smacking him senseless with its claws. Another was the dragon impaling him with a poison spike on the end of its tail. That's when you don't see a whole lot in D&D dragons.
Yeah,
Very dynamic.
that's where they
That
got
reminds me
the
of
lion.
Hercules.
Yeah.
The one with the rock. It was the party that actually was slaying all the Nemean lion and all that stuff. His all these trials. He had an entire party of adventurers that helped him do that. It was pretty cool.
The worst, or not worst, but the most weird dragon effect I ever remember reading about, and I can't even remember the story because it's so obscure. I think it's a Norse tale where by getting bled on by the dragon, suddenly the hero could understand the language of birds.
Heard that one. Yep. That was a strange one.
Okay, that's a non sequitur.
Yeah.
You've been
Well,
bled
well-
on by a dragon. Congratulations. Speak with birds.
One of the French
Random
dragon
table.
stories actually had it that one of the dragon's powers was causing the local river to flood.
Yeah, well, dragons, I mean, a lot of cultures are tied directly in with the environment. I know, like, a lot of the Scandinavian dragons were ways to explain
Yeah.
hot springs and weird caves and lava. The Linorms are one of my favorite dragons to use in D&D. Ever since I read that dragon article back in the day, and I'm like, huh, these dragons are badass, and they're Norse. So, I mean, it was
Those
like-
are the ones that are basically just slithering lumps of poison or something.
depending on the type of Linorm. I mean, in the actual legends, they're, I mean, it's never as cut and dry in stories as it is in game stats.
They've got stats for that, all the Linorms in second edition AD&D. If you've
Yeah.
seen.
And it's they came from a Dragon magazine, and then they made it into the 2E.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
made it into 5E somewhere. I think there's like 1 or 2 Linorms. Maybe not. Even, I don't think they're in WotC products though. I think
that reminds me of an idea I came up with for a story I wrote about dragons years back. And this idea was that in this world, dragons have elemental affiliations, which, okay, you could use Pokemon as an example. This is a fire dragon. This is an electric dragon. This is a plant dragon, blah, blah, blah. And, well, thing is that the dragons can, cross mingle with each other. So you might end up with a dragon that's colored red, but actually has lightning powers.
I base all my dragons off terrain. They don't the alignment and all that stuff. It can be totally random.
I mean, there's enough monsters in D&D nowadays that you could take it to a really epic level and just have it to where, for the more powerful monsters, that's the one. That is the red dragon. That is the blue dragon. That is the chimera. That is the hydra. Kind of take it along those lines of mythology.
That is actually an idea that you will see in Thundar the Barbarian, is that the most powerful monsters Thundar fights are, for all appearances, unique.
Well, and that's how most mythologies are. It's not like, in Greek mythology, I mean, it's not like there's a race of Medusas. We get 3 Gorgons, and they actually have very different powers. You've got a Chimera, a Kraken, the Minotaur is one thing. So it's very typical in folklore.
Yeah, that's like the Greeks. That's what it was with them. There was only like one of, like you just said, there was one Minotaur. There was.
And he was somebody's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the funny part with that one.
But there was only one of each monster.
Well, like with the Thunder one, though, is that it will be like, this is the monster of the week. And it might just be this weird random mutated animal that's, random and mutated from an in-universe perspective, because some of the time, no one in this story has any idea where the thing came from.
Yeah, because, it's like 200-300 years after the destruction of Earth or something like that in Thunder.
Yeah.
So,
well, one of
also
the
known as Gamma World, the cartoon.
One of the episodes they actually had as this surprise plot twist is that the actual big bad of the thing was trying to become more gain the powers of a wizard by resurrecting this long sleeping monster. And it turns out that the long sleeping monster is a lot like a griffin, except that it's about as smart as an eagle, and about as hungry as an eagle that hasn't eaten for a week. And oh yeah, as soon as he wakes it up, it eats him.
That's about
Lovely.
typical for the Lovecraftian trope. I, cosmic entity of which I have no concept of how you work. I think you're going to give me insane amounts of power if I bring you to the world. I have nothing that actually tells me that other than this obscure book that was written by a dude who had the same hopes and dreams that I do. But it's going to work, right?
Well, and the stunner case, though, is that the guy actually did know something. See, because he knew that what had been done to create this monster. He knew that the monster had considerable power. He didn't stop and think about the fact that the monster was a dumb monster and that it didn't have the ability to give him the power it possessed. It just going to go on a rampage as soon as it woke up.
Yeah.
It just wants dinner. But anyway, it's gone past midnight where I am.
Pumpkin
And
time
those
for
who,
Geek.
those who are familiar with my streams will know that
Yep.
tomorrow
I'm
is
surprised
Thursday.
you stayed on this late.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
tomorrow is Thursday, and I have a busy day at work on a Thursday. I have to be in Thursday morning, so I have to always bring the stream to a close around midnight because it becomes it is the pumpkin hour. Thanks, chaps, for joining in.
Thanks for a good evening, guys. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks,
No
Randy.
worries. No worries.
Always
Nice to see some new faces and new voices joining us for just the messing about bit at the end. We had a lovely constructive stream tonight. Everyone getting really involved in chat, helping us make some new monsters. So Mage, if you, I know you joined us late, if you want to go back in the stream, have a look at all these lovely monsters we made. The cranberry jelly and the suicide geese, and
I am going to work on the 3 wise men. I'm going to figure out something.
yeah, why not?
I think I like the wild sleigh ride the best.
The wild
That
sleigh
was
ride
the good
awesome.
one.
Yes.
That one was almost serious.
I know that Christopher, you've got a channel from the hilt.
Yes.
So check that out. Andy, do you do anything on YouTube, or
No.
you're
I've
just
got
popping in?
Going on without face-to-face gaming,
But-
watching streams like this and things, you know.
But just before you go, tell us about your own gaming. What you do.
Well, I've been playing since '81, and basically I'm playing once a week. We've got a club down in Poole called Have Dice, which has been going for 45 years as a gaming club of one sort or another.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we lost our chairman last year, John Amos, who'd been there forever, old friend. But we play once a week on Thursdays in the evening. We've got 4 or 5 tables running at the moment with different games, and it could be anything. We'll always have one D&D game going because people want it, but we've got lots of other games going on. I think I did a stupid analysis on a spreadsheet a while ago, and we had something like, what was it? I think 52 different systems that we'd run over the years with God knows how many GMs and how many different games of them, you know. So, if anyone's in Poole in Dorset, Thursday night, always welcome to come and join.
I gotta say, those clubs, those UK style clubs like that, are like the unicorn for folks, this side of the pond. It's
Well,
just
it sounds
very
awesome.
rare.
I mean, the fact you played that many different systems, it's been going for that long, that's amazing. I love that.
It's very cool.
We're really lucky because, it's like we've got, as I say, at the moment, I think 4 or 5 tables. We've got different games on each one. We're starting new ones this week because it's the
That's
switchover
really
month. And we've got 4 different games starting, one of which is D&D, Delta Green. I can't remember what the other 2 are. Something else. But, and they're all different. It's fantasy, sci-fi, horror, whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And personally,
But
I run a lot of D&D as it is. I ran some Traveller. I did other bits and pieces over the years. So,
Well, and here was me thinking I'm possibly doing a little too much on Discord at the moment because I'm running OSC and Call of Cthulhu and MERP.
But I'm
Pretty
really
good time.
weak, John. I mean, I tell you, when we were in lockdown, I was playing 5 or 6 nights a week online, which was
Yeah.
insane. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
That would not be allowed in my house. And I have a gamer wife.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get going. See you Friday.
Cheers, Daniel.
Later, Dan.
Yep. Cheers, Daniel. So so thank you everyone for joining us. We had Doof on earlier as well. He helped out with a number of ideas, and chat came up with the key ideas. So Mage, if you don't want monstrous food options, you're going to love the OSE game in the next few months, because it's just going to be filled with them. It's just going to be filled with them. So that's what I say to that. But no, it's all meant to be a bit of fun. I'm running Call of Cthulhu tomorrow night. We're continuing with Horror on the Orient Express, the prequel Blood Red Fez scenario, where we ended it last week on a bit of a cliffhanger, as the person who paid for their trip on the Orient Express has just been jumped by this strange Japanese lady who has boarded the train, and she's chloroformed him right in front of one of the characters. So yes, Sir Keth says he's not good. Sir Keth like food though. I can't do Russian accents. Mage can do Russian accents, but on the Orient Express, when you get a lot of me doing a French accent, that's the only accent I do. But then we this weekend it's the double OSE session, isn't it, on Saturday?
I don't know. You keep running games when I can't play.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's me running in the evening. It'll either be Gene or Gingerbeard running in the afternoon. I don't know who's going to run it yet. It doesn't matter. It's whoever turns up to DM and whoever turns up to play. It's a drop-in session, bit of fun, not meant to be taken seriously. So if anyone's got any time, fancies a bit of OSE on Saturday, there are 2 sessions running, starting at 2 p.m. UK time, running up until about 11 o'clock in the evening. But there'll be two distinct sessions with a break around 6 p.m. And then DK started running on Sundays. I'm not sure if he's running this Sunday, but he's running the Stonehell in a campaign in OSE. And then, of course, I'm streaming on Friday night. I think we are nearly at the end of that, so I'm going to have to prepare something different.
I missed the last one of those.
Those are fun.
Yeah, I did as well.
But yes, we are very. I think there's probably maybe an hour left of this one, but it's massive. It's massive. But I'm just going to say thank you, everybody, once again. Thanks for everybody in chat, because I've got to end the broadcast and I've got to go to bed. So
Yeah.
good night, all.
No, folks.
Good night, sir.
Good night, fellas.
Thanks.